All right, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirikoff, and welcome to our Saturday afternoon live stream for Week 7 of the 2022 fantasy football season. Over the course of the next 2 hours, I'll be answering starter sit questions for Week 7 regarding all positions. Of course, if you guys have a question in the chat, be sure to let me know what your scoring format is, whether it is 4-point per passing touchdown to 6, standard, half PPR, full PPR, all of the spectrum, to go ahead and allow me to get a little bit more context as to your situation. So when I'm giving you advice, it's far easier for me to give you the potentially correct answer. Now, a couple things that I wanted to mention before we begin. For those of you who have already, been here waiting, thank you very much. Again, like I mentioned on yesterday's video, we recently hit 70,000 subscribers here on the channel. I cannot thank you guys enough. That is a unbelievable milestone that, quite frankly, a couple years ago, never thought I would reach. But hey, we're here, and I can't thank you guys enough for that incredible support. All right, before we begin today, of course, click the like button down below. Certainly helps continue to promote the channel and grow the channel going forward, so I can continue to bring you content on a daily basis and continue to give you guys as much information as possible in order to help us win a 2022 fantasy football championship. Also, again, if you guys haven't checked out PrizePicks, we'll be going ahead and traveling to their website later today via the live stream. I have a laundry list of potential entries that we can make that I'm really excited about. A lot of kicker plays. I mean, listen, I don't know what it is, but some of these kickers are just too good. They're going to make more than, 2 field goals in a game. So we'll go over that. If you guys haven't checked out PrizePicks and you want to continue to play daily fantasy, you can go ahead and click on the link down in the description of the video. And when you do so and use promo code Andrew, when you make a first-time deposit, you'll be given a first-time deposit match up to $100. So if you're interested, check that out. Again, we'll be going over that in just a little bit. A couple people had sent in donations. I want to go ahead and first address those questions that were sent in. Let me go ahead and organize some stuff here before I bring the chat onto screen, because you guys know I typically like to do that so that when I'm addressing you as a response, you guys know who exactly I'm talking to. But a couple of the donations that were sent in, first and foremost, we had one from Ozzy. Ozzy Reyna, thank you very much. Ozzy said, Lazard or Godwin in a standard scoring format this upcoming weekend. To be honest, it's okay. Considering Lazard has scored touchdowns at such a high rate, it really feels easy to play him in that position. But with that even being said, I think I'm still going to play Godwin there. I think the Carolina Panthers matchup is one of these get-right games for this team, and most likely I'd be leaning in that direction because I think he's probably got just as high of a touchdown upside in comparison. So I think I'm pretty comfortable rolling with Godwin. Tyler T says, Russell is out. Should I start Sutton or Cooks in a full PPR? With Brett Rippon at the quarterback position, I'm completely out on almost every single Denver Broncos option this week. Whether it's Judy, whether it's Sutton, whether it's Dulich, whether it's even, Melvin Gordon. I think I'm out completely. The Jets defense has an absolute huge uptick of potential. So if in fact they're available in your league, you might want to go ahead and check just in case so you can play them. But for right now, yes, I would pivot to Brandon Cooks this week instead of Cortland Sutton. I'm not too interested in playing that game, especially against Sauce Gardner. Moving on, another question that was sent in from Paul. Paul Getz says, I'm in a 2-quarterback league right now. I have Russell Wilson out, and Patrick Mahomes is my other quarterback. I need one replacement. We have Jared Goff, we have Marcus Mariota, and we have Davis Mills. Of the 3 potential options that you've mentioned, okay, so Mariota takes on Cincinnati, Jared Goff takes on the Dallas Cowboys, and then Davis Mills takes on the Las Vegas Raiders. I'm not too interested in Davis Mills. Again, if he has a good week, he's scoring 15 points maximum, while the other 2 guys have far more upside, in my opinion. Of course, Mariota in the last 2 weeks has had himself over 50 rushing yards in both of those games. So that in itself continues to kind of give him a little bit more of a baseline of production, where it's like almost a full touchdown of fantasy points just there off rushing statistics alone. With that even mentioned still, I think I'm probably going Jared Goff there this week. Against the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys defense has played well, but I still think Jared Goff coming off the bye, the Detroit Lions, they're going to have a lot to say about it. And I think it'll be a closer matchup than a lot of people think. Let's see here. Bobo Beyond says 12-team league standard. Pick 2 running backs. Christian McCaffrey. Who else do we have here? We have Jeff Wilson Jr. potentially. Brian Robinson. Okay. So of the potential mentioned players, again, like I mentioned on Thursday night, after the Thursday Night Football live stream, or after the Thursday Night Football game, when I live streamed here on the channel, I specifically mentioned to you guys that if Christian McCaffrey is going to be active and is going to be playing, I have a hard time not starting him. Now, I do want to give you the foremost, warning Look at what happened to Robbie Anderson on Thursday. There's a reason why I didn't want to go after Robbie Anderson. First and foremost, he was never going to get many touches within this offense, just how it's kind of schematically sound. But on top of the fact that he's coming off of a short week and trying to jump into an offense that he doesn't really know many of the plays on, right? He had 15 snaps and quite literally only had 1 target for 0 receptions in that game. So I'm always concerned. But that being said, if you have the ability to do so, I'm most likely of the opinion that I'm looking to play Christian McCaffrey and then follow that up with probably playing Jeff Wilson. I'll play them both, and I'll see where it goes. Josh Williams says, pick one for this week, Ramondre Stevenson / Harris or Drake. Josh, if I had to pick one, it's Ramondre Stevenson. I mean, the assumption is that he's going to hopefully continue to be the majority leader in terms of snaps and or touches in that backfield based on what he has done in the last couple weeks or what he has shown throughout his career thus far. But Harris is still going to get touches. Harris is still going to be a goal line threat. Drake is fine. Again, when we're comparing the two different groups of players, I think there is a significant boost in terms of potential when we're talking about the New England running game in comparison to the Baltimore Ravens. So I am far more inclined to play Ramondre or Harris over Drake first and foremost. And then on top of it, when we're splitting hairs between Ramondre and Damian Harris, because Ramondre's potential to have a couple receptions out of the backfield be relevant in that regard and his recent success, I would lean in his direction there. Thank you. Alrighty, so let me go ahead. There was a couple more questions sent in. I don't know what's happening to my YouTube. It's not up. There we go. Now it updated. Okay. Finally, it was taking a little while to update there. All right, Jude Chavez sent in the question. Thank you very much. Said, Deontay Johnson or Kenyon Drake in a full PPR? Love you, bro. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, so here's the thing. If we're playing in a full PPR scoring format, I'd honestly, let me think here. If it's going to be Kenny Pickett taking on the Miami Dolphins secondary, Xavier Howard hasn't played well in quite some time. And quite frankly, he's also still dealing with an injury. Didn't practice all week long, and he's questionable to play. I think the secondary for the Miami Dolphins is one that you could very easily take advantage of. And right now, I'm kind of leaning in the direction of going Deontay Johnson there in a full PPR scoring format. Thank you, Jude. All right, let's see here. Awesome KO 74 says, half PPR, Sutton, Gallup, Dobbs, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Okay, so Sutton right now, I'm pretty much completely out on. It would have to be a pretty desperate situation for me to actually go back in on playing Sutton this week, considering the quarterback and the defensive matchup against Sauce Gardner. As for your following other options, Clyde Edwards is fine if he scores a touchdown. The issue is they play against San Francisco. They've been really good in terms of stopping running backs on the ground. That being said, there's always the potential that Clyde Edwards could get some utilization in the receiving game, which gives him some sort of upside. But in a half PPR scoring format, it doesn't make it that much more of a potentially safe option, in my opinion. Then I look at Romeo Dobbs and I think to myself, well, Sammy Watkins has been activated. He's on the 53-man roster. Most likely he's going to play this upcoming weekend. That could take away from Romeo Dobbs and his potential in this week. So at that point, I'm just going to pivot. I'm going to go with Michael Gallup this week against the Detroit Lions' awful defense. Chris says full PPR. Gallup, Damian Harris, Jeff Wilson Jr., or A.J. Dillon. All right, if I'm picking one out of the group, I think it's purely going to be between either, to be honest, now that I'm looking about it across the board, I think Michael Gallup's probably the safest play there as well, Chris. Thank you. Between Gallup, Harris, Jeff Wilson, and A.J. Dillon. A.J. Dillon we can't trust. Damian Harris, again, is going to need a touchdown. Otherwise, not really relevant. Jeff Wilson is in a little bit of that tricky situation because we're not 100% certain as to what we're going to see with McCaffrey. But even in their production, I still think that Michael Gallup is very capable of getting himself, 5 catches, 50 yards minimum. And then we're going to continue to build upon that in this game. Thank you. Aiden sends in a question, says, what are we supposed to do with Elijah Mitchell? For right now, just leave him in your injured reserve spot. If you don't have any injured reserve spot on your team, you can either hold him or potentially go after another stash option. I would feel comfortable switching him off for Gus Edwards if, in fact, you had the opportunity to do so. But for right now, I think I just hold him in my injured reserve spot until further notice. Prankster Nightmare says, I have two. Okay, do we have to start two out of the potential three options? What do we have? Four options here. Clyde Edwards, James Robinson, Raheem Mostert, David Montgomery. Of the players that you've mentioned, I prefer Clyde Edwards and Raheem Mostert going into this upcoming weekend's game, considering the fact that the Chicago coach came out and said that they're going to continue to utilize David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert in more of a 50-50 split going forward. That gave me a little bit of concern as to what we're going to potentially see, especially considering they do take on the Chicago Bears on Monday night. It seems to me like this is one of those games where Bill Belichick, against a very inexperienced quarterback, is going to try to force that quarterback to beat him. So they're going to stack the box. They're going to stop the run. And when they do so, they're going to force Justin Fields, not with his legs, but with his arm, to go ahead and try to beat them down the field, which is obviously going to be difficult. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to lean in the direction of Mostert and Clyde there. Thank you very much, Prankster. Orlando sends in a question, says Sutton or Romeo Dobbs. At that point, I'm going to play Romeo Dobbs this upcoming weekend. Derek says, start Eckler. My other running backs are A.J. Dillon, Melvin Gordon, what is this, Murray? Chase Edmonds, Khalil Herbert, and then what is the follow-up here? Justice Hill is also on the waivers. Who do I start out of the potential group? Okay, so as of right now, considering we have a confirmation at very minimum that Melvin Gordon is going to be the starting running back for his team, I'm relatively comfortable running there with that as the next option. Outside of him, Chase Edmonds, not really a playable option as of this moment. Khalil Herbert, I think, is in that very similar boat because, again, like I mentioned, they're going to try to stop the run against the Chicago Bears, so he's going to be in a tough situation as well. Latavius Murray, again, he's the backup to Melvin Gordon. I don't think I want to start both those options against the Jets. That offensive line for the Broncos obviously have taken a big hit, considering their left tackle went down with a season-ending injury, and he's one of the maulers in the league in terms of run blocking. So at this point, it would be Melvin Gordon and A.J. Dillon as your best two options going into the week there, Derek. Thank you very much. Medina sends in a question. Says full PPR. Start Montgomery against the Patriots defense at the flex position, or do I flex one of these following options? Okay, so of the other options that you did mention, I do prefer Alec Pierce there, Medina. So you had said like DJ Moore, Curtis Samuel, Dobbs, Alec Pierce. Yeah, I would go with Alec Pierce there, in my opinion. In a full PPR scoring format, again, this is probably going to be another one of these games where the Colts are going to have to score a boatload of points, considering their defense, sometimes just doesn't want to hang with teams. And I think this might be one of those games is they're going to have to try to stop the run against Derrick Henry, which obviously, like we saw in week 4, is going to be extremely difficult for them to do. So I'm going to go with Alec Pierce there. Henry Odom sent in a question. We're going to get to the chat questions in just a moment. Let me go ahead and finalize here. Henry Odom, thank you very much. Appreciate the donation and supporting the channel in that regard. Henry says, in a full PPR, 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs, 1 flex. We have Pittman, we have Higgins, we have Chase, we have St. Brown, we have Fournette, Swift, Stevenson, Pierce. Okay, first and foremost, Henry, fantastic team. Okay, you know that. I know that. We all know that. Obviously, when you have this many good players, it's a blessing and a curse because you have to decide between all these incredible options on a weekly basis. And oftentimes, we're really struggling because there's such good players. So, with that all being said, I do prefer to play my 2 starting wide receivers as Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamar Chase. Those would be my number 1 and 2 options. As for your running backs this week, it's Fournette. If, in fact, we do have a confirmation that DeAndre Swift is going to play, then I would feel very comfortable starting him. But considering we don't have that confirmation, I would say that your second running back is most likely Ramondre Stevenson, and then your flex is most likely in a full PPR scoring format. Man, it's crazy because Damian Pierce has caught the ball a bunch in the last couple weeks, and that is what kind of is leaning me in his direction as of this moment. Do I want to play him over Higgins or Pittman? I don't. I think I'm going to play Pierce there, to be honest. I think Pierce is that good. And in the fact that in the last couple of weeks, he's had himself, 5-6 targets, and he's been able to catch a wide majority of those. I think we're in a fantastic position for him to succeed. So that's pretty much the direction I'm going in. But again, you got such a good roster that we have to sit potentially Swift, Pittman, and Higgins. That's not fun to do in any capacity. But again, blessing and a curse, like I mentioned. All right. Justin sent in a question. Said, stopping by the show to show some love. Appreciate that. Let's hope and pray that Brandon Cooks has a good game tomorrow so we have trade value. Yes, absolutely. That is the hope. So we can actually figure it out and send him packing. Thank you very much, Justin. I appreciate that. Alexander Valdez says, Kenyon Drake, Garrett Wilson, DPJ, Nico Collins. Pick one in a full PPR scoring format. I'm feeling more and more confident in regards to potentially playing DPJ this week. Garrett Wilson could be fun, but again, I don't trust Zach Wilson. Nico Collins could be all right, but again, Davis Mills. So at this point, I think DPJ, what he's done in terms of the receiving yard totals pretty much has him as like a 10-point play guarantee this week. Kenyon Drake could be in that range. I'm just afraid of starting. Like, even though I had Kenyon Drake in yesterday's video, I have a legitimate phobia now of running backs for the Baltimore Ravens. They have hurt us far too often and far too much, right? So I'm in a full PPR scoring format. I'm like, can I get, another option? And now that I see DPJ there, it's kind of where I'm looking at. Okay. Niners collection. I just saw your question come in here. Let me go ahead and answer that. Full PPR, start Lockett or Jacoby Myers. Lockett didn't practice at all this week. He's questionable to play. I would probably say if he plays, I'm willing to roll him out there, but it is a very worrisome situation. So it may just honestly be safer to roll out Jacoby Myers this upcoming weekend, especially with Mac Jones probably back. Your follow-up question was James Robinson or Brian Robinson. I would play Brian Robinson. And your final question was Hawkinson or Everett. This week, I prefer Everett. Follow-up question, we had Just Sherman 4 sends in a question, says Drake or ETN this week in a half PPR. I prefer Travis Etienne going into the week. Thank you. Okay. Let's see what we have here. And by the way, even if, for example, Mac Jones doesn't play and Jacoby Myers is still there, I'm fine with Bailey Zappi. He's been fantastic. Okay, so let me go ahead and let me pull up the YouTube chat onto the screen so that when I'm addressing y'all's questions, we are on the same page as to who the heck I'm talking to. You know what I mean? All right, so 1 second here. Let me go ahead and there we go. Have that on the top right corner. And then let me go ahead and adjust that for us all. Let me scroll up because there was a lot of questions that were sent in that were just like regular questions. So let me go ahead. I don't want to split this too hard. Let's go ahead. Let's go. I think that's about right. Okay, cool. So a lot of questions here. Again, if you just sent in a question, I'm going to get to it in just a moment. I just got to answer some questions in the chat, see what everyone's, thinking going into this upcoming weekend, and then we'll get to it. Thank you. Appreciate it. Gave a thumbs up to the stream, says, should I trade Pittman, Hall, Broncos defense for Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, and the Bills defense? Pittman for that, Hall for Aaron Jones, Bills for the Broncos. Okay, so here's my thought process, Paul. I prefer Hall over Aaron Jones rest of the season. That being said, I do prefer Devontae Adams over Pittman. Now, under the assumption that Aaron Jones figures it out, right? The Devontae Adams side would be the better side going rest of the season. That being said, that's not a guarantee. Though that is my hope and that is my speculation, I can't 100% say without a shadow of a doubt that Aaron Jones is going to have a bounce back season and figure it all out, get over, the 1,100 yards, 40 some odd catches, and 10 touchdowns like he's done each of the last 3 years. So for right now, quite frankly, I think you just keep the hot hands and you just roll with what you have. Don't make any rash decisions here because, again, even though we're hoping Aaron Jones to figure it out, they've given him a lot of chances. They're just not, they're not getting there. And maybe it's just an entirety of this this Packers offense is just going to struggle all season long because of Adams' absence. Mike Williams or Godwin in a half PPR. Already have Mike Williams and Waddle starting. As of right now, I would rather play Godwin, personally. Again, the only time that I would ever feel more comfortable with Mike Williams over Godwin would be under the current circumstance if, in fact, we do see Keenan Allen not play this weekend. If Keenan Allen is out at that point, yes, I'd feel confident enough just playing Mike Williams over Godwin because I know there's far more of a target share available for him within the given week. And like we have seen for the first, I would say, weeks 2 through 6 without Keenan Allen in the lineup, Mike Williams has been yes, inconsistent at times option, but that depends on matchup, but otherwise been a very high upside player. Pierce or Walker in a half PPR. I prefer Pierce this week. ETN or CEH rest of season, standard scoring. I would prefer Travis Etienne rest of season. Full PPR, Higgins or Kenneth Walker this week. Higgins against Atlanta secondary, very likely could score himself 15 fantasy points without scoring a touchdown, like 7 catches, 70 yards. I think we're very much so in the realm of possibility there. That being said, the Chargers cannot stop the run. And if there was ever a game for Kenneth Walker to have like a 25-point monster breakout, it could be this week. I think these two options are really good at this moment. But if I had to pick one, I'm probably going to play Kenneth Walker there. Prankster says, thanks. I was confident with Mostert, just unsure about Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Montgomery. Yeah, no problem. Sounds good. Alan says, standard league, scoring. Okay, so we have Gallup or Jamal Williams in the flex. Great question. At this moment, I think I'd just rather play Jamal Williams, to be honest. it is rough because I don't expect Gallup to score a receiving touchdown. Now, if he does, by all means, that's fantastic. I just have far more of an inclination that Jamal Williams would be on that goal line and potentially, yoinking a touchdown with or without DeAndre Swift in the lineup. Sutton or Kirk? I'd play Christian Kirk this week. Yeah, for sure. Hall or Mike Williams this week? Yeah, you're gonna play Hall this week, especially with the entire Denver offense being downgraded. It may not seem like a downgrade because Russell Wilson's been playing so bad, but I can guarantee you that Brett Rippon is not it's not an upgrade at the current scenario. So if they're gonna continue to punt the ball, I got to check on PrizePicks. They may have a certain entry this upcoming weekend for punts because I've seen that happen before. For Thursday night games, if they have a punts number for the Denver Broncos punter, I would go more on that number. Just putting it out there. All right, appreciate it. Zeke or CEH rest of season standard scoring? I think you know what my answer is. I think you just want me to confirm it. I'm gonna go with Zeke there. I truly do not know if CEH can sustain the rest of season schedule in an idea that he's going to be able to score and have enough yardage to sustain in a at least standard scoring format at this moment. Brissett or Goff this week? Brissett takes on the Ravens. I'm not too excited about that. I'd probably just pivot to Goff there, Matthew. Standard start 3 in a PPR. We have Pittman, Lazard, Alec Pierce, Jacoby Myers, or Bateman. I don't even know if Bateman's playing. If Bateman is going to be an active member, I would love to play him this upcoming weekend because we know that Denzel Ward is not active for the Cleveland Browns. That's their number one cornerback. So I'd love to play Bateman if he's active this weekend. So with that being said, first and foremost, it would be Pittman and Lazard as your automatic 1 and 2. As for who your third man up is, it's mainly a matter of whether or not Bateman plays. If Bateman is not going to be an active participant this upcoming weekend, I would just pivot to Jacoby Myers. All right. Is ETN for DJ Moore a good trade? I would rather have ETN. Again, if you're under the assumption that DJ Moore is going to be traded in the coming days, because again, they traded Robbie Anderson, they traded Christian McCaffrey, why not trade DJ Moore? Again, I think it's a really big risk because if they don't end up, doing that before the trade deadline, you're giving up a very valuable prospect in ETN and just hoping for a trade, which again is not a guarantee at this current moment. All right, so we already answered this question. 8 teams. We have Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, Travis Etienne, George Pickens, J-Rob, Curtis Samuel. So what do we have here? For Etienne and George Pickens. Also, so I would rather have Dalvin Cook and Madison rest of the season, to be honest. And then James Robinson and Curtis Samuel for DeAndre Swift. I'd rather have DeAndre Swift. So as of right now, yeah, Cook and Swift would be the two that I'd prefer there. Do you prefer Stevenson or Drake this week? Oh, absolutely, I prefer Stevenson. Yeah, Bob's W or Bob's Wow. Yeah, I absolutely prefer Ramondre Stevenson this weekend. Freiermuth, Schultz, or Everett in a standard scoring format. Most likely leaning in the direction of Everett because, again, even though we want to hope for touchdown upside, there's not really a guarantee for it within these 3 matchups. Again, Schultz could be great because of the Dak Prescott connection, but for right now, considering we have no Parham, we have no Palmer, and we could even potentially see no Keenan Allen once again this week, Everett is a fantastic option there, Ando. All right, let me go ahead. Let me scroll back to the bottom here because I know there was a lot of questions that were sent in recently via donation, so I want to get to those in just a moment. Terry R says, all right, I'm answering questions. Fire away, chat. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate you handling some of the workload in there, even though I didn't ask you to. But hey, either way. Bateman or Everett, again, this is a matter of whether or not Bateman even plays. If he plays, I'd be willing to go ahead and roll him out there this weekend. Sit 1, Henry, Walker, Pierce, ETN. I would sit ETN. I'd play the other 3 options here, Gabe. House Nelson says, who's a big free agent pickup so far this year? Who's the biggest free agent pickup thus far? I'd probably say, I don't know. I guess it depends on your league, right? Because in every single one of my leagues, any of the top running back options that I've mentioned within a given week have always been taken, right? So like the Kenneth Walker of earlier this year, that was already gone by far and away, right? So there really hasn't been one that has been just like explosive and taking over. Now, there have been enough wide receivers and tight ends right now that have come out of the woodwork. Also quarterbacks that have been quite pleasantly, consistent, like Geno Smith, Jared Goff at quarterback have been pleasantly consistent thus far. Gerald Everett, being a surprise upside tight end early on in the year is fantastic. We've seen wide receivers like Josh Reynolds or Alec Pierce over the course of this season, be very much so suitable to play as a wide receiver too with upside. Those are nice. But in terms of running back, there really hasn't been much that hasn't been rostered already prior to them even being mentioned or having that eventual, potential breakout. Is Peoples-Jones worth a play? Yeah, I think he is. I mean, just looking at his yardage counts in the last couple weeks, I think he's certainly worth a play. Now, whether or not he's going to have a touchdown, that's probably unlikely based on the offense in itself. But other than that, I mean, I think he's probably like a low-end or a wide receiver 3 option. Rest of season standard scoring, Zeke or ETN. I think I'd rather just go with the youth there. I think I'd rather take ETN. Again, I know that Zeke is associated with a far more competent offense as a whole because of what we've seen in the past, but I think I'd just rather have the youth in that regard. Because I know, there's less of a, if we're comparing the potential likelihood of a potential injury, Zeke has far more miles on his body, which would kind of lean me away from him. Considering I'm expecting very similar production out of the 2 rest of the season, I'd just rather have the guy that's healthier and has a little bit more potential receiving upside going forward. Kareem or Wilson? I'd probably go with Jeff Wilson this week. Jeff Wilson or Sammy Watkins? Probably still Jeff Wilson there. Jeff Wilson or McLaurin? Man, I want to play McLaurin. Taylor Heineke's actually a decent quarterback. Like, don't get it completely messed up. I think Taylor Heinicke is going to make this a very close game, mainly because the Green Bay Packers are just inept at times. But I don't know if Terry McLaurin is really going to be capable of more than just 10 points. Now, if you're just looking for 10 points at this moment at your flex, and you just need 5 catches, maybe 4 catches, 60 yards, 5 catches, 50 yards, I very much so do believe that Terry McLaurin is capable of that. Chat, should I trade Damian Harris for Keenan Allen? Yeah, I would. I absolutely would, especially if you play in a half or full PPR. I'd be very comfortable doing that. Freiermuth or Schultz? This weekend, I'd probably go Schultz. Najee, Jeff Wilson. Who's this? Who's ODER? If Christian McCaffrey doesn't play, I don't know who this is. Oh, you meant sorry, you meant over. So is the V button next to the D? Maybe. Najee over Jeff Wilson if Christian McCaffrey doesn't play. If Christian McCaffrey doesn't play, I would still play Jeff Wilson. I mean, that would be fantastic for Jeff Wilson's upside for last, one final hurrah for him in the given week. Okay, really quickly before I go back to answering the questions in the chat, I want to address some of the donations that were sent in. Alrighty. All right. Thank you for those of you who have sent those in. Thank you for those of you who have, of course, just joined us this afternoon. Again, I know there's a UFC event going on. I was watching a little bit of that Sugar Sean fight before, we hopped onto the channel here. Either way, if you guys could do me a favor, click that like button down below. Certainly does help out the channel a lot in terms of growth. And we'll get to your questions in just a moment. Thank you. All right. Juan Rivera says, let's see here. Juan. Love the channel, bro. Full PPR. Drop Russell Wilson for Matt Ryan. Yeah, at this point, I would. Okay, and then we need half PPR running back. Okay, so we need a couple running back options here. And a flex. Okay, so you have Lenny, you have Damian Harris, you have Drake, you have Pollard. Okay, so let's say, for example, you're starting 3 of these options. Actually, let me just order it from top to bottom, okay? I would play Lenny, then Harris, then... Oh, you have Montgomery as well. Okay. I'd go Lenny, Harris, Pollard, Drake, Montgomery. In that order there, Juan. Thank you. Sean Bonds, thank you very much. Says, start 1, wide receiver. We have Curtis Samuel. We have London. We have Bateman. If Bateman is healthy, I would love to play him. If he is not healthy, I would then at that point most likely pivot to Drake London this upcoming weekend. Pro922 says, half PPR, Monty or Christian McCaffrey running back. I'd play Christian McCaffrey this upcoming weekend. If McCaffrey, what 2 flexes do I pick between Montgomery, London, Judy, and Pickens? Or Foreman? Probably not, though. Yes, I would not play Foreman this upcoming weekend in your current scenario. So of the available options that you do have in a half PPR scoring format, I would play London and Pickens, to be quite frank. There's always a potential of Montgomery figuring it out, but again, that New England defense, they know what to do. Bill Belichick's going to lock in there. So as of right now, Pickens, London, those will be my 2 options. And with Kenny Pickett healthy, I think Pickens is back into that top 36 potential conversation this upcoming weekend. Mike says, start ETN, Alec Pierce, or Tony Pollard this week in a full PPR. I'm very comfortable with ETN there, Mike. Thank you. Terry R. sent in a question. Thank you. Says, Goff or is that Geno Smith? Okay. If I'm not mistaken, as of this upcoming weekend, I have Geno Smith ranked higher. Tomorrow morning's rankings will also confirm that. So I prefer Geno there over Goff. As for your follow-up question, Swift limited or Drake at a full capacity and a full PPR, Drake is going to split snaps probably with Justice Hill. So I probably just play Swift there and not even worry about it. Joel Garza, thank you very much. Says full PPR. What are your thoughts on Wan'Dale Robinson? Here's my biggest concern with a wide receiver being the number one option for the New York Giants. Okay, we know that the New York Giants offense as a whole, thus far this season, is run first. That is their entire approach, okay? Whether it's with Daniel Jones or Saquon Barkley, they want to run the ball first. And there's a reason why, of course, Daniel Jones hasn't been able to fill up the stat sheet because, again, they don't throw the ball much. And even when they do, his average depth of target isn't that far down the field. That all being mentioned, what is the value of a number one New York Giants wide receiver thus far this season? Really, we haven't seen much upside. And quite frankly, I don't think outside of Sterling Shepard in week one, we haven't seen a singular Giants wide receiver score a receiving touchdown. I mean, I'm pulling that off the top of my head, but I'm going to go ahead and look to see if I can confirm that. Yes, obviously Wan'Dale Robinson last week, but I mean, outside of those two, there really isn't much, total upside within this offense at that given position. Yes, they've only had 2 receiving touchdowns from the position in itself. So my concern is that if the number one of the Giants is 6 targets, 4 catches every week for 40 yards, if you don't score a touchdown, you're not valuable enough outside of being maybe a wide receiver 3 on a bye week hell that you need to go ahead and adjust for. That's my current opinion on it. Now, I'd love to see him get double-digit targets, be the next Amon-Ra St. Brown, but unfortunately, within the offense, the way that it's structured, the way that they're utilizing their receivers, doesn't seem like that's going to be the case going forward. Nathan J says, hi, Andrew. Pickett or Mariota for Sunday? I would play Marcus Mariota this upcoming Sunday, even in the 6-point per passing touchdown league. Thank you very much, sir, Nathan J. Eric Powell, thank you. Says, what the heck do I do with Jerry Jeudy? Trade options? You can't trade him. He's worth nothing at this point. I mean, sure, unless you can go ahead and bamboozle someone, there's very little potential pivot that you can make with Jerry Jeudy until he has a bigger performance that you can sell him off of. Dave McGahee says, start 2 full PPR, Sutton, Gallup, Pickens. Honestly, I'm not even kidding. I'm sitting Gallup this upcoming weekend. I would play Gallup and Pickens there. Thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate it. Scratch sends it a question. Says, I'm in a 12-team league, half PPR. We have Jonathan Taylor, Cook. We have Hall, Stevenson, Dillon. Okay, we got great running back options there. That's fantastic. Madison, we have Higgins, Pittman, Sutton, Michael Thomas, Renfro, Njoku. We have Carr. We have Geno. 2-4 record. What do you recommend in terms of trades? As of this moment, I'm recommending that you trade Ramondre Stevenson away because you have Cook, you have JT, and you have Hall. If you're able to move Ramondre Stevenson and maybe pair him up with a wide receiver like Sutton or Michael Thomas and get back another wide receiver in return, I think that's a pretty good option there. Now, if in fact you can maybe move Stevenson with Carr, get an upgraded quarterback, that could also be something that I'd be a little bit comfortable with because as of right now, Geno Smith's probably not going to start for you rest of the season. It's probably going to be Carr rest of the way, considering he's past his bye week. And I'm not too confident that Carr could bring those upside performances of like 300 yards, 3 passing touchdowns on a consistent enough basis to be someone that we can trust as our QB1. Now, is he going to get us consistent points? Sure, but is he going to get us those upside points that win us weeks outright? Most likely not going to be the case there. Thank you. All right, couple more questions here. Then we're going to get back into the chat. I greatly appreciate you guys being patient with me. Again, hopefully I'm answering questions passively by answering somebody else's question. Maybe that was something that you were wondering. So keep your ears sharp and ready to go as I'm kind of rolling through all these questions. Thank you. Appreciate it. Donnie Bravo says, start 2.5 PPR scoring format. Ayuk, Pickens, Damian Harris. Of the group of players in a half PPR scoring format, I'd probably roll with Damian Harris and Brandon. Actually, you had Dobbs did well there. Yep. It could be close, but yeah, I'd probably still go Ayuk and Damian Harris there. Thank you. Miggs says, what do we have here? We have Deebo Samuel and okay, so you have Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel. Should I hold or move one? I think you have to just hold them both. Yeah, just hold them both. You're fine. Again, if you want to move one between the two, it's most likely just moving Deebo. And if you're going to move Deebo, you probably just go get another wide receiver option, like trade him for A.J. Brown or trade him for Mike Evans, something like that, Terry R. says, trade Kenyon Drake / Sutton for Jamison Williams / Brandon Cooks or Juju. Oh, that's not Jamison Williams. That's Jamal Williams. Understood. At this moment, I do believe that Sutton has more value than Cooks and even Jamal Williams. But considering you do have Swift, I'm okay with it. I'll be fine with that. Eric Crump says, PPR, start 2, flex 1. We have Mixon, we have Walker, we have Brees, we have Barkley. Barkley's an automatic. Brees is an automatic. Walker's an automatic. I'm sitting Mixon this week. It's kind of crazy, but that is just the case. Based on matchup, based on opportunities, that is where we're at. Troy sends in a question. Troy, let me get to you in a moment. You know what? Before we get to Troy, let me go ahead and update this real quick. Let me see. Where the heck is Troy in this chat? Troy, where you at, my man? Troy says, should I trade Hurts for Devontae Adams? I have Lamar Jackson, and yes, I would. Absolutely. Trade Jalen Hurts, give me Devontae Adams rest of the season. Absolutely. All right, while we're still here, let me go ahead and answer some questions. Tyler says, are we starting Christian McCaffrey this week? Yes, but at an extent, okay? Tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I will be here live streaming on the channel. On screen, to the right of me, during the live stream, we will have updated rankings at running back. I have Christian McCaffrey far lower ranked than you may anticipate. Are we still starting him? Yes. In some scenarios. But in other scenarios, we have him relatively lower ranked because, again, we don't expect him to get 15 touches, 7 receptions. You know, like we don't expect that. So with that all being the case, he's going to be a little bit lower ranked, but he is still a startable option because he is Christian McCaffrey. Gus Edwards was activated for tomorrow. Was he really? Woo-hoo-hoo. Get rid of Kenyon Drake. No more Kenyon Drake, everybody. Let's just get it off there. My question, Steven, actually, I got to look into this. I'll look into it after the stream. I'm curious if Gus Edwards was active at practice this week, though. He may have been activated from the injured reserve, but he doesn't mean he's going to play this weekend. You know what I mean? Because when I go to the Baltimore Ravens, where is the Baltimore Ravens? When I go to their practice report this week, yeah, there's no Gus Edwards on there. So Gus Edwards did not practice this week. Therefore, he's not playing this week. I mean, he may have practiced. Maybe he's just off the injury report as a whole. But I doubt that's going to be the case. But I'll look into it after the stream. No problems. We'll figure that out by tomorrow morning. Drop Gibson for Gus? Yes, I would drop Gibson for Gus. Brees Hall or Christian McCaffrey this week? I would play Brees Hall. Yeah, no problem with that. And I'd play Njoku over Pitts. Yep. ETN or Kirk in a half PPR. Love the beer. Appreciate that, Nathan. I would play ETN this upcoming weekend. I think there's just a little bit more upside there. Should I trade her? Okay, we did that. Would you trade Mondre for Zeke? Probably not. I would try to get a little bit more for Ramondre Stevenson because I think Ramondre Stevenson could still be of the value of Zeke going forward, assuming he gets a lot more of that PPR work going in his direction. Dobbs, Bateman, Damian Harris, or Kenyon Drake in a PPR, Andrew. I would play Sports TNB. I would want to play Bateman there. But again, he's got to be healthy. If he's not active tomorrow, I think your pivot option in a PPR is most likely just rolling with Romeo Dobbs there. Thank you. Half PPR, Myers, ETN, Pickens. Yeah, I'm going to play ETN there. And then Pitts or Muth, I'd play Kyle Pitts. Thank you. Is Odell Beckham worth rostering? I've been thinking about dropping Brian Robinson. No, I would not drop Brian Robinson for him. The main reason I suggest that, Matthew, is because I think running back depth is extremely valuable in fantasy football. Whether it is injuries or bye weeks that are to come, you need to have a solid group of at least 4 running backs that you can rely upon for the rest of the year. Because if a freak accident injury is to occur and you drop Brian Robinson and then you all of a sudden don't have 2 eligible starting backs on a weekly basis, you're going to be in a lot of trouble there. So yes, Odell Beckham is absolutely worth rostering, but not in exchange for a higher tier player like Brian Robinson rest of the way. Gus, the bus Edwards RB1? Absolutely not, Abhishek. I don't think that's going to be the case, my man. Kenneth Walker or Jonathan Taylor? I prefer Jonathan Taylor this week. All right, let me go ahead and get back to some of these questions that were sent in. So after Troy, we had Jack O'Donnell. Thank you very much, Jack. I appreciate that. It says 3 separate questions here. Pick one from each. Okay, half PPR. Dak or Brady? I prefer Dak this weekend. Tunyon or Evan Ingram or Cade Otton this upcoming weekend? Of the 3, I would go Robert Tunyon. Then Cade Otton, then Ingram in that exact order. And then we follow up with the final question. Christian McCaffrey or Romeo Dobbs or Pickens or Wan'Dale Robinson? Of the available options that you have there, I'm probably just playing Christian McCaffrey. I know it's very risky, but I'm probably leaning in that direction. Drace sends in a question. Drace says, Gus Edwards active. Start over Jeff Wilson this week. Absolutely not. Again, I'm not 100% certain of the practice report, how much of a participant he was. Let's see here. Did Gus Edwards practice this week? Okay, let me look this up. If you practice fully this week, then I'm not playing him over Jeff Wilson, but I'm considering him as a potential play for sure at that position. Let me see here. Gus Edwards hasn't played since 2020. Let me read this article. Okay, he was practicing. Okay, good. That is very good. Expected to return against the Browns. Okay, so that just makes it so where 100%. Okay, let's. Okay, so this makes it 100% that no one can start Kenyon Drake. He's not a startable option anymore. He's off the list. Just remove him. At this point, I 100% purely believe it's going to be a three-headed monster of a running back committee. And once, in fact, Dobbins comes back, it's going to be a four-headed monster. I don't want nothing to do with it. Even in a great matchup, I can't guarantee who's going to score the touchdown, which makes it all the worse potential for what it is. All right, a couple more questions that were sent in. We had Key Johnson says, I scooped up Dak from the waivers. Should I start Burrow over him? Should I start Burrow against Atlanta over Dak against Detroit? Let me check my current rankings at quarterback just to confirm. I'm fairly certain I have Burrow ahead of him. Where's my week 7 Patreon? Okay. I have Joe Burrow at number 4 at quarterback, and I have Dak Prescott at number 5 at quarterback this week. So that's where I would go. I play Burrow. And then your follow-up question is, what 3 would you play out of the potential? We have Barkley, Christian McCaffrey, Swift, and Brees. Barkley and Brees are the automatic 2 in my opinion there. And then the follow-up is, if in fact we do see Swift play, I would play Swift over McCaffrey. If in fact Swift doesn't play, then your decision is made quite frankly for you, and you play McCaffrey there. Thank you. Tom sends in a question. Says full PPR, pick 1, Brandon Ayuk, Jeff Wilson Jr., Damian Harris. Second question, Hall, Jacobs. Okay, so let's figure out the first question first and foremost. Of the potential players you have there in a full PPR scoring format, I am far more comfortable just playing Damian Harris out of the bunch. Follow that up with your question of Hall, Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker. If I have to pick 2 out of those players, it's Jacobs and it's Kenneth Walker. Oh, sorry, you have Hall as well. So yeah, it's Jacobs and Hall. My apologies. Jacobs and Hall. Ramirez sends in a question, says trade Sutton or DK for ETN. I'd be willing to trade either of them for ETN. Sure. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that. Evan sends in a question, says full PPR. What do we have here? Hurts. Okay, we have a massive team. Okay, we're looking for potential trade options. I got Kelsey for Hill and Zeke. Okay, Saquon and Hop for Cook, Adams, and Olave. Thoughts? So the rest of your team. Okay, so your team looks like Hurts, Kupp, Hopkins, Williams, Kelsey, Saquon, ETN, Jacoby Myers, London, Brian Robinson. I think your running back position is relatively thin in terms of ultimate depth, but I think you'll be able to survive to an extent here. The trade of getting Saquon and D-Hop for Cook, AJ Brown, and Olave could end up hurting in the end, in my opinion. The other trade I'm okay with. I'm okay with the Kelsey trade. The other one could end up hurting in the end. It just depends on what Olave looks like the rest of the season. But for right now, I mean, again, you have a really powerful team. It's just a matter of what that RB2 ends up panning out with ETN. Manny R says, Ramondre or Zeke full PPR? Harris is expected to play. Even with Harris expected to play, I will most likely have Ramondre Stevenson ahead of Zeke this upcoming weekend. Thank you. Armen, thank you very much, says, full PPR. I'm starting Ramondre Stevenson, Damian Harris, Alec Pierce, Bateman, or Christian Kirk as my second flex. Okay, so I would play Ramondre as your first flex, and then as your second in a full PPR scoring format. Out of the eventual or potential players that you have as options, I would play Christian Kirk there. If anything is to happen to Christian Kirk in the next 24 hours, the next best option is probably rolling with Bateman. But yeah, Christian Kirk's the play there. Thank you. All right, scrolling to the bottom. Let's see what we have here. What are the most recent questions that were sent in that I can immediately address here? Let me scroll up a little bit. Gus likely on a snap count. Yeah, he'll probably be on a pitch count. Again, that's why I'm just now that we have a confirmation of that, I'm completely out on that Baltimore Ravens backfield this weekend. Even with the incredible matchup, just not interested anymore, guys. All right, Jimmy J. Holiday says, I have Monty, Herbert, Mostert, Cook, and we have, I almost called him Cook, Brian Robinson. Who should I start PPR? Also, Damian Harris is available on the waivers. Should I pick him up for any of these potential guys? Okay, so of the available options that you have, I would probably pick up Damian Harris and drop Khalil Herbert. And then for who we're playing this week, it's Dalvin Cook, it's Mostert, and it's Brian Robinson. Those are the three. Joseph says Mostert or Alan Lazard in a PPR. I'd most likely feel I feel more comfortable rolling with Lazard there. Do you think Lockett is going to play? I have no clue. The assumption is that because he hasn't practiced all weekend, is that there's a very good chance that he doesn't. Or all week, excuse me, not weekend. Tight end full PPR. Taysom Hill, Taysom already played this weekend. So Hill is not really an option. So it's Bellinger, Johnson, or Henry. Of the available options, I would probably play Hunter Henry. Gallup, Renfro, or Garrett Wilson. Probably just play Gallup there. Yep. Full PPR, Bateman, Sutton, or Pickens. Pick two. Yeah, I'm playing Bateman and I'm playing Pickens. But if Bateman is not active, then you have to play Sutton. And the decision is made for you. Caleb says, start two, Samuel, Pickens, Jeff Wilson, or A.J. Dillon. Most likely in the direction of playing Jeff Wilson and Pickens this week. Thank you. Pick two full PPR, MVS, DPJ, or Duvernay. Probably looking towards playing DPJ, and then could we trust? Look, you know what the funny thing is? MVS and Duvernay were both no-shows last week, which really makes it difficult to just try to trust them in just like a 1 week grab. I would probably venture to say that there is a higher likelihood for success in a full PPR, just trusting the baseline of production that we'll see from MVS. So I would go DPJ and MVS there. GP or Drake, London this upcoming weekend. So George Pickens or Drake London full PPR. If I had to pick between the two, with Pickens back, I would play with Pickett back, I would play George Pickens. Let's see here. Half PPR, Lazard or Mostert. Yeah, I think we already went over this. In a full PPR, we will go with Lazard. I think I'm probably still in that same train of thought with a half PPR scoring format. 6 point per passing touchdown, Matthew Ryan or Trevor Lawrence. I'd play Matt Ryan this upcoming weekend. Thank you. Nick C says, is Mixon a top 10 back rest of the season in a full PPR scoring format? Should I trade Debo 1-for-1 for Mixon? Yeah, I would trade Debo 1-for-1 for Mixon. Absolutely. I offered Godwin, but Mixon manager said no. I have Jefferson as my wide receiver one. I would be willing to move Debo for Mixon. Yeah, I'd feel pretty comfortable there. Let's see here. Prescott or Matt Ryan. I play, Dak Prescott, absolutely, without a doubt in my mind. Alrighty. Okay. A couple more questions were sent in here. Let me address some of these that were sent in. I know, Troy, you sent in another one. Troy says, sent another question in the chat. Also, Brady or pickup. Yeah, play Brady this week. For sure, play Brady. All right. Kevin sent in a question. That guy, Kevin, said, traded Aaron Jones for Pierce. Okay, that's fine. I'm 1-5. I need to win now. Already have Kenneth Walker and Jonathan Taylor, Muth or Ingram this upcoming weekend. If I had to pick between the two, I would pick Fryer or Muth this upcoming weekend. Thank you. Metro Boomin says, full PPR. I have my quarterback is Dak. We have Saquon. We have CH. We have Dillon. We have Dobbins. Okay, we have CeeDee Lamb. We have Higgins. We have Moore, London, Claypool. We have Andrews. Any trade ideas as of right now looking to upgrade at running back? If you were going to look to upgrade at running back, I would probably try to sell CH alongside somebody else to try to upgrade, just vary so slightly. But if you're really trying to make a huge play, I don't think you want to move Andrews, but you could always move Andrews for a running back and a tight end and try to make a play like that. But Andrews has just been too good to move on from him. I would kind of hesitate in that regard. For right now, your main guys that I wouldn't trade are Saquon, CeeDee Lamb, Higgins, and Andrews, right? And probably Dak. Everybody else is up for trade, and you should just move them off as quickly as you possibly can. Whether it's to go get ETN, whether it's to go get somebody else that is on the rise but hasn't met their overall potential yet, I think that's probably a safe way to go about it. All right, Troy, let me go ahead and see what you had in the chat real quick, my man. Troy, where are we at? So Troy said, should I hold on to Akers, DJ Moore, or Mitchell? All right, so of those three options, right? I don't know if anybody wants Akers, especially coming off the Achilles. Mitchell is fine as a potential handcuff to McCaffrey rest of the season. He could sit in your IR for now. Akers is not going to be in your IR. That's why he's droppable. DJ Moore is also keepable because, again, if he does get traded, let's say, for example, to a good team, let's say he gets traded somehow, some way. I doubt it, right? Because the Green Bay Packers are such stingy such a stingy organization with their picks. I would love to see DJ Moore be the number one for the Green Bay Packers, but unfortunately, it's most likely out of the realm of possibility. But if in fact it was to happen, maybe DJ Moore goes to Kansas City, maybe DJ Moore goes to Baltimore, maybe he goes to the Cowboys. I don't know. There could be a lot of upside there, which I want to hold on to for right now, just in case. And then you also mentioned that you have Michael Thomas, you have Hollywood, you have Cordero Patterson. Should I pick up Brandon Cooks for any of these options? I would like to keep Cordero. I'd like to keep I would probably keep what you have for now. I'm not 100% certain as to what the status is of Michael Thomas rest of the way. I know he's dealing with a turf toe, and he really hasn't had time to rest it. They should have put him on the injury reserve. It's the same reason why they should have put Keenan Allen on the injury reserve, so that they could go ahead, shut down, not have to practice, not have to force it back, get the treatment that they needed, and come back quicker. But unfortunately, some of these organizations just don't want to shut down their players for some reason when they should. And that may hold out Michael Thomas for a little bit more time. So if you're in desperate need of a wide receiver play, I guess you can go ahead and make that swap. But for right now, for sure, keeping Hollywood and Cordero because they're coming off IR quite soon. All right. Did we get to... Okay, we got to Manny's question earlier. Okay, so that was Troy's question. What did David say? I'm hanging on to White for the Bucks. Cook for the Bills, potential playoffs. Yeah, I mean, I think these are great stashes just in case. Because they're insurance policies, Should I trade Jamison Williams for Damian? Wait, what? I traded Jamison Williams for Damian Pierce. Did I win? Connor, yeah, you won. I don't know what else to tell you besides yes, you won. That seems like a pretty easy W to me. Lamar Jackson or Dak Prescott this week? Phil, I'd play Lamar Jackson. Foreman, B-Rob, or Kenyon Drake? I'd play B-Rob. That's the only one I would play out of those three. I wouldn't even suggest playing another one if you had to pick two. Robert says, you passed my question like 4 times. Apologies, Robert. Again, there's only one of me, and I only have one pair of eyes. If I could split them and answer 2 questions at a time, I would absolutely try to do that. But let's get to your question. Said, Stevenson, Sutton, Judy, Christian McCaffrey, Bateman, Pickens, start 2 full PPR. Stevenson and McCaffrey are my 2 suggestions for this week. Don't want to play Sutton. Don't want to play Judy. Bateman is questionable. Pickens could be an option there, but as of right now, I'm playing McCaffrey and I'm playing Stevenson. No problem with that, Robert. Trade deadline is November 1st, correct? Yes, it is November 1st. We have some time, but again, it's a week away. So there's not too much time until they can go ahead and lock one of those deals down. But, in the dark of night, a team could always swoop in and offer, a pretty large sum of picks to get something going there. Foreman, okay, we already did that one. Need a flex, full PPR. Brian Robinson, Sutton, or Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Of the available options that you've mentioned, I'm probably playing Brian Robinson this weekend. Gino or Dak? I have Dak Prescott ranked higher. Lazard or Sammy Watkins? Lazard. Dak, CEH, and Christian Kirk for injured Swift. Am I giving up too much? It depends. I don't know what the rest of your team's context looks like, Ando. But it could be a decent trade if you have a good enough backup quarterback and enough of a filling wide receiver to make that move. I wouldn't mind it because I really do think that DeAndre Swift could be league-winning upside rest away. Are we concerned about Zach Ertz going forward? His target share was tough to watch on Thursday. I mean, everyone's target share outside of DeAndre Hopkins was tough to watch. But that's DeAndre Hopkins. That's exactly what we've seen from 2020, 2022, and 2021. That being said, I don't think that they're going to be in a position like they were on Thursday to be up in games as much as they were, to run the ball as much as they did. I'm of the opinion that this offense is very much so just completely out of whack. They don't know what they're doing and are going to be in situations where, quite frankly, they're going to be losing in a lot of games. So they're going to be forced to throw a bunch, and Ertz will get back into the mix. But once Hollywood Brown comes back, that's when the concern really kind of begins to kick in. Is Andrew not playing? No, Andrews is playing. Steven, from the mouth of Mark Andrews, he said he's ready to go this weekend. So Drake or Gus this week? Neither, to be honest, Bo. Neither. If I had to pick one and you only had to, quite honestly, you just like, Andrew, I have no other options, then you have to play Drake because Gus Edwards is going to be on a pitch count, most likely. Okay. Will Havel send in the question. Thank you very much, Will. Says Damian Harris, Juju Smith-Schuster, or Tyquan Thornton this week. Which two would you start? I'd probably play Harris and Juju. Follow that up with Kelvin's question. Says half PPR Henry for Aaron Jones and Kenneth Walker. My only other RB is Dylan. Yeah, if you have to make that move just to get more depth on your team, just because you're struggling to have a stable enough RB2, I think I'm okay with that. Jerry Gonzalez says trade options: Russ, Ryan, Fournette, Jacobs, Stevenson, ETN. We have JJ, we have Gabe Davis, we have Dobbs, we have Judy, we have Mooney, Schultz, 12-man team, full PPR. Trade options: yeah, you got to move Stevenson off this roster. And as to what you bring back in, honestly, I'd probably like to either get back. Yeah, you just have to probably move Stevenson and throw Judy or Mooney on top of it and bring back any other running back. In my opinion, that's a little bit of an upgrade. If you can go after Aaron Jones, you can go after Joe Mixon, you can go after some of these guys, you should. Samuel Rodriguez. Let's see here. Samuel, where you at, my man? Samuel, did you send in a question? Do me a favor, Samuel. If you could type a question in the chat, we greatly appreciate it so I can go ahead and address your donation. Greatly appreciate that, though. That guy, Kevin, says, someone offered me Dak. Oh, you already sent in your question, Samuel. Thank you. I'll get to it in a moment. Kevin said, someone offered me Dak and Waddle for CeeDee Lamb. Ha. If you're in desperate need of a quarterback, I'm okay with it. But I do think that Waddle and Lamb are both probably top 10 upside rest of the season. Waddle's closer to 10 and CeeDee Lamb's closer to 5. All right. Samuel Rodriguez says, I have Devonta Smith, DeAndre Swift. We have Joe Mixon. We have Josh Allen. We have Drake London. Who else do we have here? I'm in a full PPR scoring for my Dynasty League. Should I trade one of these players? Okay. So if it's a Dynasty League, I don't want to move Devonta Smith. I don't want to move Swift. I'd be okay. I want to keep Josh Allen. I want to keep Drake London. If you were going to move any of these players in a Dynasty League, it would be Joe Mixon. That would be it. The rest of them are all young and still, kicking. Now, obviously, Joe Mixon is still young, but he's getting to that point. Well, when did he start? I think he was a 2017 rookie. He's been in the league for quite some time. He's getting to that point where eventually he's going to fall off the proverbial running back cliff based on the law of averages, or the law of, 2,500 touches or 2,500 snaps in the NFL as a running back, and they always fall apart. Something like that. There's a rule there. So for right now, Mixon would be the odd man out if I'm looking to move somebody. For the future, of course. Robert Delano says, 2 questions. Full PPR, first one, Walker or Swift? I just play Walker this week. Secondary, pick 2, full PPR, Jacoby Myers, Deontay Johnson, Rashad Bateman. Okay, so of the available players you have, I think first and foremost, I would want to play Deontay Johnson and Jacoby Myers. If in fact we do see Rashad Bateman play, I would consider him a play over Jacoby Myers, but I don't know if I'm 100% certain that I do it because there may be a potential for re-aggravating his foot injury. So I think it's just safe this week just to play Jacoby and Deontay there. There was a question from another Troy. Troy Porsche says, should I start A.J. Dillon or Jeff Wilson? I would play Jeff Wilson this upcoming weekend in a non-PPR scoring format. And then your follow-up question is Courtland Sutton still valuable or cuttable? He is still valuable. Do not cut him. Thank you. Joseph sends in a question, says full PPR. I got Hurts, Swift, Christian McCaffrey, Waddle, CeeDee Lamb, Ertz, Raheem Mostert. Do I trade or sit anyone from this group? Hurts, Swift, Christian McCaffrey, Waddle, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, you're fine there. I don't think there's anybody you want to move off the roster. Obviously, I'd like to get an upgrade at tight end or your flex position. So Ertz or Raheem Mostert are guys that I'd like to upgrade from. But I don't want to move any of the other options that you have to upgrade them. So you're fine at this moment. All right, let me go ahead and scroll down to this chat. All right, so really quickly, just a reminder, we've been here for about an hour. I do appreciate you guys joining us this afternoon to, of course, talk all things fantasy. If you guys have not yet already, it'd be greatly appreciated if you can click that like button. We can get ourselves over that 300 like mark. Again, there's about 500 of you almost in here. Be greatly appreciated if you guys could do me that solid, click that button, as we'll continue to be answering chats questions for the next probably hour here until 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Really quickly, I want to check for my own mental well-being in regards to what we're seeing from the UFC right now, because I did have to stop watching that just to get onto the stream today. Where is the results of today's main card? UFC 280. Wow. Okay, so Charles Oliveira lost. Aljamain Sterling won TKO. And then Sean O'Malley, yeah, I already saw that was the decision. Wow. Okay, I'm gonna have to go watch those back. That must have been interesting, huh? Aljamain Sterling put somebody down, huh? Alrighty. We love to see that. All right. Let's see here. Where are we at? Jared Tyrese says PPR. Cousins, Mixons, Ramondre Stevenson, ETN, Pittman, Waddle, Kirk, Lazard, MT, Bateman, Higbee. So do I make a move or sit on these players? I would like to move Ramondre Stevenson as quickly as I possibly could. I would also be in the market of potentially looking to move Alan Lazard, most likely, Michael Thomas, Christian Kirk. I'm okay with moving all of those guys. The players that I would like to keep on your team right now, Jared, are Mixon, ETN, Pittman, Waddle. I think everybody else, I mean, I guess you can keep Higbee, but everybody else is movable. So if you can go ahead and make upgrades. A couple weeks ago, there's a thumbnail on my channel that has Josh Jacobs on it. It's a rest of season rankings video. If you go check that out, I think that may give you a little bit better of an indication as to where you would want to trade or upgrade at some of these player positions, if available in your league, to potentially trade with, assuming that team wants to also move some players in regards to what you have available to give. Alrighty, let's see here. Jimmy G or Geno Smith? I have Geno Smith higher this week. What else do we have here? Geno, Mariota, or Ryan this week? I need someone to fill for Hurts. If I'm filling for Hurts, I'm probably playing Geno Smith there. I think I'd probably go Geno, Mariota, Ryan in that order. Godwin, Williams, or Kirk, full PPR. Pick two, Godwin, Williams, or Kirk. Probably Godwin and Williams. Full PPR, Romeo Doubs or Curtis Samuel. If Keenan Allen sits again, probably Romeo Doubs there. Mixon, Brian Robinson. I go Mixon this week. Dobbs or Pickens. I'd play Dobbs. Oliveira lost. He tapped. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Islam Makhachev is he's a beast. What do we have here? Start Ryan over Card. If I have to start Alec Pierce and Pittman. I mean, if you're fully in on the Alec Pierce Pittman train, I don't mind the idea. I do have Carr ranked higher, but I don't mind it. I think that'd be a pretty cool stack to just roll with and just hope for the best and just watch that game on Sunday. Brian Robinson, Donta Foreman, or Schultz this weekend. I play Brian Robinson there. Jared says you also have Gabriel. He also has Gabriel Davis. Okay, Jared. I mean, again, like I was mentioning earlier, the players that I mentioned, those are guys that I'd like to move. I'd probably keep Gabe Davis going forward. Would you trade Deebo Samuel for Dalvin? Yes, I would. I have Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Mike Evans, and CeeDee Lamb. I would exactly do that. I would love to have Dalvin instead of Deebo rest of the season. Do you think Lockett is going to play? Raymond, to be totally honest, I'm not 100% certain. I think I answered this question a little bit earlier on today's episode. I did mention that the likelihood is that he probably won't play because he didn't practice all week long. Kenneth Walker or Gabe Davis? I'd honestly say you'd probably rather have Kenneth Walker rest of the way. But again, I don't know what the rest of your team looks like, Nelson. Andrew, okay, so you have CeeDee Lamb, you have Pittman, you have Mike Williams, start two. I would play CeeDee Lamb and Michael Pittman Jr. this week, Phil. Thank you. Since Gus is active, do I drop someone off to keep him or still leave him on the IR? Nick, I would leave him on the IR because, again, if you can roster another player for the weekend, you might as well just do that and keep it as such. Are the Jets going to be a great defense this week? Tristan, yes, absolutely. I have them, if I'm not mistaken, I've adjusted it real quick. Let me go check my adjusted rankings. Yeah, I still have them as my number 3. I haven't moved them any higher, but I have them as a top. Actually, I might move them at number 2. They would be only behind Tampa Bay this weekend. It would go Tampa Bay, New York Jets, New England Patriots as my top 3 defenses in the week. So yes, if you have the Jets, you could very easily maybe get 15 points from them and win your week because of that, Tristan. And Max obviously asked the same question. Is the Jets defense a good replacement for the Bills this week? Yes, absolutely. Without a doubt in my mind. Pollard or ETN? I'd like to play ETN in a full PPR this week, Namara. Cash Kid says standard Ramondre or Aaron Jones in the flex. If I'm picking one, I probably feel more comfortable rolling Ramondre. Man, Aaron Jones needs to prove it before I risk it all this week and get another 8-point game from him. My other running backs are JT, Saquon. Yeah, you already have really good running backs. I just roll with Ramondre. They're super flex. Would you go with Daniel Jones, Mills, Tannehill, or Brissett? Let me check my rankings. If I'm not mistaken, outside of the singular game against the Chicago Bears, Daniel Jones hasn't had a pure upside performance this year. And in that game, the only reason he scored over 20 fantasy points against Chicago is because he had 2 rushing touchdowns. So that in itself really keeps me thinking that I'm probably pivoting away from Daniel Jones as of this weekend. As for the other options that you did mention, though, Mills, Tannehill, Brissett. So I have Tannehill at number 15 right now. Probably can move up a little bit. Brissett, Mills. Yeah, no, I would go with Ryan Tannehill. That would probably be the guy that I'd roll with this weekend. Where do I have Daniel Jones, though? Daniel Jones, I have him at 18. So I have him a little bit lower, but in the same neighborhood. Jimmy G or Geno Smith, I still have Geno Smith higher. Would you trade Dalvin Cook and Jeff Wilson Jr. for Aaron Jones and Kenneth Walker? Yes, absolutely. I would. Mostert or Juju this week in a full PPR? I'd probably play Mostert. Carlos R says 2 running backs, 2 flex, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers in a flex. We have Christian McCaffrey, we have Fournette, we have Jacobs, we have Hill, we have Keenan Allen, we have Myers, we have London, we have Wanda Robinson and Garrett Wilson. I'd play Fournette. I would play Jacobs as your RBs. I play Keenan Allen and Hill as your wide receivers if both are healthy. And quite frankly, if Christian McCaffrey is going, I think I'd probably play him in the flex. Alrighty, let me go ahead. Let me address some of the donations that were sent in. I greatly appreciate that. Hayden Hurst or Dalton Schultz this weekend. I'd probably play Dalton Schultz there, Van. Thank you very much. All right, a couple of the questions that were sent in via donations. I appreciate you guys sending those in. Augustus sends in a question, says, RB plus wide receiver tandem I could get for Jonathan Taylor. Want stud wide receiver in a full PPR. If you can go ahead right now, I mean, dude, it's going to be tough, but I would say, like, rest of season, these are the wide receivers that I think are like at the top of the list. Kupp, obviously. Justin Jefferson, obviously. We have guys like Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jalen Waddle. Who else is another one of these top prospects at the very tippity top? Oh, I forgot Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs may be at the highest because currently he has more points than anybody in fantasy right now that are flex options. So Diggs, Kupp, Jefferson, Adams, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Waddle. Those are guys that you would like to get in return as the stud. Obviously, you want the more upper echelon guys when you're trading away JT, as long as they can accompany that with a feasible enough RB2 option in exchange as well to come back, then you're okay there, Augustus. Our Gold 9 says PPR, I get Olave and Pierce for Pittman and Hall. I would probably rather have Pittman and Hall, and I'll tell you why. I think once, in fact, Andy Dalton is benched, the potential upside, and especially once Jarvis Landry comes back and Michael Thomas comes back, the potential upside of Olave dips a little bit. And with that being said, I think Breece Hall's fantasy playoff schedule really is going to win people leagues this year. Just to kind of give you some perspective as to what exactly they play from weeks 15 through 17, they get to take on the Detroit Lions, then the Jacksonville Jaguars, then the Seattle Seahawks. Those are 3 of the easiest matchups at the running back position, especially on the ground. And that's what I'm kind of investing in for the future to kind of settle my team in that playoff run to at least bring home a chip this year. All right, a couple more questions sent in here. Frank Grillo says, not the actor, by the way. Yes, thank you for clarifying that, but hey, good name. Hawkinson or Everett this week? I prefer Everett this week, thank you. Samuel Rodriguez says, should I trade Waller, Eno, Jeff Wilson, Bateman, or Pickens? Waller right now is most likely in a position in my eyes that I'd like to buy low on if I could and just stash him on my bench, because once he's healthy, I would love to just see what they can do with him at a full capacity. As for the other options, Eno, yes, I think he's tradable because him and Connor are probably going to split going forward. Jeff Wilson, yes, tradable. Bateman, could be a tradable option, but I don't think he has to be. Pickens, I don't think he has to be. I just don't know how much value he has also in turn. So, yeah, move those running backs. I'm okay moving those running backs there, Samuel. And honestly, if you have to move like a Pickens, by all means, it doesn't break my heart to do so. Same thing with Bateman. But again, of those 2 options, it's just hard to sell them based on their recent performances. Work for what you want sends in a question, says, traded Lamb for Waddle and ETN thoughts? If ETN pops off and is the guy that we expect him to be and could be a low-end RB1 rest of season, then yes, it's worth it. If not, then therein lies the struggle. But that being said, Lamb is going to be incredible. Waddle is going to be incredible. We'll talk about Waddle in a little bit. I have a PrizePicks entry this weekend that is pretty spicy for him this upcoming weekend. We're going to hop into that in just a moment. Your follow-up to your question was, I drafted Javonte and Elijah Mitchell. Hollywood, I needed depth at running back. And my RB right now is Ramondre Stevenson, Etienne, Connor, and Eno Benjamin, and we have those at wide receiver. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's fine to recover. I'm okay there. Medina says, stacked at running back, I have Mixon, Dalvin, Kenneth Walker, Montgomery, Robinson, Madison. I wouldn't say you're stacked at running back. I think you got 4 solid running backs, right? And that's exactly what you want. Nothing more, nothing less, right? So I would say that you're in a perfect position. But if you want to move Montgomery, which you're alluding to, Matt, should I trade Montgomery for Chris Godwin? Yes, I would. Because you do have the ability to make a trade considering who you have. I'm okay with that. Absolutely. Just Sherman 4 says, keep Dobbins or Mitchell in my IR slot. Sucks to have both. Yeah. At this point, I would probably drop Dobbins. Thank you. Alex Ruiz sends in a question. Says, think Rachaad White could have sneaky upside this week? I mean, I guess he could. It's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. There have been prior weeks, like last week, where we thought the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were supposed to completely torch that defense. Unfortunately, didn't do anything of the sort. And if they don't come out and really look like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that are a legitimate contender in this league, then Rachaad White's not going to get any touches, which is unfortunately the reality. Jerry Gonzalez says trade options. We have Burrow, Mixon, Fournette, Stevenson, Pollard, Debo, Sutton, Mike Williams, Dobbs. Okay, so of the available options you have, I'm keeping Burrow, Mixon, and Fournette. I'm willing to trade Stevenson, Pollard, Debo, Sutton, Mike Williams, Dobbs, Ertz, and Schultz. I'm willing to move all of them. So again, I will point in the direction, Jerry, of the video I posted a couple weeks back in terms of trade targets. Go check that video out. Go look at some of the options that I have ranked higher than the players that you have mentioned on your roster and try to go make upgrade plays for them. 2-for-1s to go ahead, solidify that, and for the future of the season, have a little bit better of a chance. Troy sends in a question, says, is it a sell high situation with Justin Herbert at this point? No, it's not. If anything, it's a buy low situation with Justin Herbert at this moment in time. That would be my suggestion there. All right. Yeah, so we already answered that. Let me go ahead and scroll back down here. Okay. When does Cordero Patterson come back? The expectation is probably next week. PPR, start Higgins, Godwin, Debo, St. Brown. I would play St. Brown. I'd follow that up with probably playing Debo and Higgins right after that. Let's see here. Pick 2 full PPR, Bateman, Juju Smith, Schuster, Bateman, or Pickens. Again, if Bateman is healthy, I'd probably play him in both scenarios. But considering we're not 100% certain, it may be just smart just to pivot and go Juju and Pickens just in case. Rachaad White or Judy, at that point, I'm playing Judy. Andy, full PPR. G-Dubs. What? Who the heck is G-Dubs? You mean Garrett Wilson? Dubs is in a W? I think that's what you meant. Garrett Wilson or Tyler Algier? I don't trust in any capacity Zach Wilson, so I'd honestly play Tyler Algier there and get 5-6 points out of him. But in a full PPR, if Tyler Algier is to fall into the end zone, we're screwed. Let's just play Garrett Wilson, man. With Elijah Moore out, maybe Zach Wilson wants to wake up this weekend. I don't know, man. He's just so bad. Let's see here. Swift or Kenyon Drake? Caesar, I'd play Swift this weekend. And thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you. Good kicker to stream this week? Yeah. Myers from the Seattle Seahawks. Go look at his recent fantasy point production. It's been incredible. All right. Would you start Hawkinson or Alec Pierce? I'd play Alec Pierce there, Michael. Breece Hall or Pierce? I prefer Breece Hall this week. Let's see here. Luis says, hey, Andrew. With McCaffrey in San Francisco, who has a better rest of the season? Garoppolo, Geno, or Cousins? I'm probably still leaning in the direction of Cousins. Yeah, that's probably where I'm going in the direction of. But Garoppolo could rest of season overtake Geno absolutely, without a doubt in my mind. He probably already has at this point for rest of season purposes. Stevenson, Sutton, Judy, Christian McCaffrey, Bateman. I would play Stevenson and Christian McCaffrey here, Robert. Okay, JK sent in a question, said, Etienne or Ayuk this week? I'd play Etienne this week. Thank you. Defense, Green Bay or the Jets? I prefer the Jets this weekend. Tua or Jimmy G? As of right now, I have Tua higher ranked. Hey, Andrew, love the channel. 12-team PPR. I have weak wide receivers, but my running backs are Derrick Henry, Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, Cordero Patterson, and David Montgomery. Who would you trade If you're going to trade running backs, you just trade away Patterson and Montgomery. And for who? I mean, again, trading away Montgomery and Patterson isn't going to be the greatest send, but if you can go ahead and in any capacity bring in T. Higgins, bring in Chris Godwin, I'd love to see that. Mohammed Slim says PPR traded Stevenson and Gabe Davis for Amon-Ra St. Brown. What'd you think? My running backs are Kamara, Gordon, Brian Robinson. We also have, do I start Kamara or Drake? Kamara already played this week, my man. You must be completely lost in the sauce, huh? You must be completely lost. Kamara played on Thursday, my man. Kamara already played. But either way, Drake is not a startable option. As for the trade, I'm okay with it. I like it in a full PPR, to be honest, because I think so highly of Amon-Ra St. Brown going forward. Gustavo sent in a very generous donation. Gustavo, thank you very much. Gustavo says, currently 5-1. I'm in a 12-team league full PPR. Lamar, Diggs, Lamb, Godwin, Elliott, Walker, Goddard. What else do we have here? Lazard is okay. You got a pretty good looking team. Any trade suggestions you should make? Okay, so let's see here. Lamar, Diggs, Lamb, good to go. Godwin, fantastic. Elliott, Walker, Goddard. I'd love to get a better running back here. If you can move Lazard, if you can move Bateman, Wandell, Montgomery, Hunt, Harris, Madison, Burks, if you can move any of those guys to improve Elliott to somebody else, that would be greatly appreciated. As for who, obviously I'm still looking at guys like Aaron Jones and or guys like Mixon that could be buy low candidates going forward. Jimmy, I answered your question way earlier, man. Again, guys, you gotta be here. If you step away for half a second and I answer it, boom, it's gone. Alex Apking, thank you very much for that donation. Says Stevenson and Walker in the flex full PPR. As of right now, I'm going Walker this upcoming weekend. On the fence with Harris coming back. Walker is basically has the backfield to himself. Yeah, no, listen, I'm all in on Walker against that incredible matchup. Randon Martinez says James Conner was dropped. Should I pick him up? Yes, I would. All right, really quickly, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to travel over to PrizePicks for the next couple minutes here. Got to show you guys some of these potential entries that you could potentially make this upcoming weekend. Again, if you guys haven't checked them out, there's a link down in the description. When you sign up today and make a first-time deposit, minimum of $10, you'll be given a first-time deposit match up to $100. So for those of you who are interested, check that out. Let's go ahead and let's change this screen here to the display capture as such. Alrighty, so I went ahead and this weekend, of course, we're going to get back to answering questions in a moment, but I went ahead and I put together a laundry list, legitimate laundry list of potential plays and entries that you can make via the NFL Week 7 slate. Okay, you guys ready to hear this? Here we go. Like I was mentioning earlier, we're going to the field goals made area. All right, so Brett Maher, 1.5 field goals made. Absolutely take the more on this. Okay, I'm clicking on the wrong screen. This mainly because in 4 out of the last 5 weeks, he has been in a fantastic scenario to succeed and has done so exactly. I need to move myself over a little bit here on this second capture. Move myself over just a little bit. Boom. 4 out of the last 5 weeks, good to go. They take on Detroit. They should score a bunch of points. This is one that I really like. Moving on. Another kicker that I'm actually in a similar scenario with, Graham Gano. He's been able to put up 2 or more field goals in a singular game 4 out of the last 5 weeks as well. He's another one that I'm going more on. We move on to Kaimi Fairbairn. Kaimi Fairbairn has done it 4 out of the last 5 weeks with 2 or more field goals. Again, probably going to be in the same scenario. I'm taking him on the more. And then we're continuing with the final option for this week, Jason Myers. Jason Myers, similar. 4 out of the last 4 weeks, been in this conversation, continuing to kick field goals. This is the guy that I just mentioned in terms of being a fantastic waiver wire pickup option as a kicker streamer. Of course, we mentioned Kaimi Fairbairn a little bit ago. Again, 4 out of the last 5 weeks has been able to put up 2 or more field goals. So again, we're going with those 4. I'm taking the more on every single one of them really quickly. If in fact we were to get, yeah, we're just going all in. We get it, we get it. We don't, we don't. All right, moving on. Coming back to the NFL. Okay, a couple more laundry list plays that we want to make. More kickers, but in this case, fantasy points. Just to give you an upside kind of understanding. Scoring format is a full PPR, but when we talk about kicker scoring in the NFL for this specific PrizePicks format, 5 points for a 50-yard field goal, 4 points for a 40-yard field goal, 3 points for a 30-yard field goal or less. That is fantastic. That leads us to potentially believing that we're going to see a lot of upside here going into the week. I thought there was a spider like falling down the ceiling for a second there. I saw something out of the corner of my eye. So, of the available options here, some of the ones that I really like in terms of total plays this upcoming weekend. Obviously, Brett Maher could very easily accomplish this. He has done that, quite frankly, for, I would probably say from weeks 2 through 6, 5 of those 6 weeks, or 4 of those 5 weeks. Has it been 5 weeks? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 4 out of those 5 weeks. The only week he wasn't able to accomplish that was last week, if I'm not mistaken, but not picking him. We are scrolling down. We're going after the man, the myth, the legend, Daniel Carlson. He has been able to go over 7.5 kicking fantasy points in 5 out of the last 5 games that he has played. We're absolutely taking the more on that. We're moving on to Jason Myers. Just like I mentioned, I'm expecting him to kick 2 field goals. Of course, I'm expecting this team to also score a touchdown. You get the extra point after, you get yourself 7 fantasy points very easily. We'll take the more on that number as well. We're continuing on. We have Graham Gano, who's another one of these kickers that I'm really in tune with, being able to score a bunch of points for fantasy teams. He's been able to accomplish this number 4 out of the last 5 games. Obviously, this last week was the only week which he wasn't able to, but he put up 6 fantasy points. I'm expecting him to be far more utilized in this Jacksonville Jaguars matchup. So, therefore, we'll take him more on all 3 of those. Bada boom. How we're doing. Keep it moving, and we make that. Okay, moving on. More laundry list. Here we go. We're getting back to the chat in just a moment. There's a lot of plays here. Receptions. We scroll down. Again, there's a lot of players. The one that caught my eye first and foremost was, where is he? Leonard Fournette, 4 receptions. Absolute blasphemy that it's sitting at that number. Look at his reception count. 5, 7, 10, 6 in the last couple weeks. We mentioned this throughout every Tuesday running back rankings video. He's a PPR machine. We're taking the more on that number. We're following this up by finding Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, 6 receptions. That's an easy more. Why? Because again, thus far this season has been a receiving machine. 9 receptions, 8 receptions, 7, 8. Obviously had 1 week with 2 receptions against the Buffalo Bills. A very difficult matchup considering their secondary and how they play against the opposing tight end position. This upcoming weekend's Cleveland should find a lot of success. 6 receptions, very easy number to achieve. Then we move on to another receiver that we'd like to go ahead and add onto this list. It is Amon-Ra St. Brown, 6.5 receptions. Again, let's not forget, he had an 8-game streak from 2021 to 2022 of 8 or more catches in 8 consecutive games. Of course, most recently has been injured, but coming off of the injury with DJ Chark out, the potential of DeAndre Swift being absent, and the potential of even us not seeing Josh Reynolds play this upcoming weekend, I think 7 receptions is a bare minimum for this young man. We're going ahead, making another entry here. Moving on. Alrighty. We move to, where are we at here? Passing attempts. Alrighty. This is another one that I liked. Passing attempts. We go to Matt Ryan. I think Matt Ryan in this game is going to be forced to throw the ball a bunch, mainly because what he has done thus far this season is throw the ball a bunch. Look at these numbers. Boom, 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 boom. Throwing the ball at a very high capacity, at a very high clip. We're going to go ahead. We're going to take the more on that. Moving on, we have Zach Wilson. This will be the first player that we're going less on. And you know what? He'll probably jinx it, and he'll probably go with more passing attempts somehow, some way. Though, that being said, as of late, 21 passing attempts and 18 passing attempts. Not enough to justify this number of 30.5. I don't think he's getting 31 or more, so we're going to go with the less there. Moving on to the final player we wanted to mention in terms of the quarterback position, we're going to go to the interception margin, and we're going to go to Jacoby Brissett. Jacoby Brissett has thrown an interception in 4 out of the last 5 games. We're rolling with him against the Baltimore Ravens secondary to throw for more than 1 touchdown. Again, Baltimore Ravens, they've kind of locked it back in the secondary. We're rolling with this one, coming back. All right, keep it rolling. Again, the laundry list has a final 5-leg entry here, and then we're closing it out. We're going to rushing attempts. Breece Hall, for the consecutive last 3 weeks, has had himself more and more rushing attempts. They currently have him at 15.5. This is going to be a game where I believe Michael Carter and him probably run the ball more than the amount of times that they're being asked to do so, mainly because there's no Russell Wilson there. Again, just to show you guys, Breece Hall, let me move my big ass head. 7, 8, 17, 18, 20. The numbers are continuing to incline in a positive direction. Therefore, we take the more on his number. As for the likelihood of Michael Carter achieving this number, again, as of late, as his numbers have kind of dipped downward to an extent, just recently this last week, he's been in this conversation. They're taking on Denver. If they mount an early lead, they're running the ball late and with Michael Carter in the lineup. I'll take both of them on the more. Okay, moving on. We have Tony Pollard in terms of rushing stats, okay? Where's the rushing yards number? I expect Tony Pollard to easily go over this number. Why? Because he's been able to do it even in easy or even in difficult matchups. Look at what he's done recently. In 4 out of the last 5 games, been able to surpass this number. They take on the Detroit Lions, the easiest matchup at the position in the given week. We'll take that on the more. And then we go ahead and we're going to, you know what? Let's just leave this to a running back one, okay? Let's leave this to a running back one. We're just ripping off entries, okay? Something's got to hit this weekend. Something's got to give, all right? Andrew's been a little bit inconsistent, but something's got to give this weekend. All right, moving on. Receiving yards. Jalen Waddle. I got the spiciest stat for him. You guys ready for this? Where's Jalen Waddle on this list? Where are my boys? Jalen Waddle. Hiding at the very bottom. I wonder why he's hiding, because this is an automatic more. 61 receiving yards. That's all he needs. And guess what? Jalen Waddle has been able to get 61 or more receiving yards in 10 out of the last 13 games that he has played with Tua Tagovailoa. Easily, I'm taking that. That's going back to 2021 in games that they have played together where Tua has been the starter and not left early with an injury. Boom, we'll take that. Moving on. Speaking of receiving stats, where's my boy David Njoku? We mentioned him on yesterday's episode. I believe David Njoku, based on what he has been able to do in terms of his current streak. Where the heck is David Njoku on this list, man? All right, while we're still at it, right? Cade Otton. We're taking the more on his number, mainly because recently his receiving stats have been 29, 43, and 23. This last week was only able to get 23 receiving yards because Cameron Brate was in that game and he got himself 14 before he left. But in the 2 prior games where Cameron Brate was a starting tight end in this team, 32 receiving yards, 52 receiving yards. There's a lot of potential for the starting tight end of this team. That's why we're leaning in that direction. Where the heck is David Njoku? Boom. David Njoku, my man. 4 consecutive weeks of a boatload of yards. We're going ahead. We're hitting the more on that. And I think that is pretty much where we have it. As of this moment, that'll be the final entry. Thank you for bearing with me as I went through all of my entries for this upcoming weekend. Again, if you guys want to go ahead, play daily fantasy via PrizePicks, you can go ahead and do so. I would love to know how to do some of these picks for the NBA. I don't follow the NBA closely enough, but one of these days I'm going to figure it out. One of these same days when I have time, I'll figure it out. But for right now, we're getting back to the chat. Appreciate it. Thank you very much, y'all. Let's go ahead and let's get back into this with closing this and this. Alrighty, back to the regular connection here. Where are we at? Couple more donations that were sent in. JK says ETN or Ayuk in a full PPR. I would play ETN there, JK. Muhammad Slim says full PPR traded Stevenson and Gabe Davis for, yeah, we already did that one. You're good to go there, Muhammad. Gustavo, we did. Brady Ramirez, we did. Alex Apking, we did. Hernan Ramos says Brady or Tua. I would play Brady this weekend. RR says flex full PPR. Dobbs or CEH. In a full PPR scoring format, I think it's more... I think we're probably in a better position to just start CEH there. I like the idea of playing Dobbs. I'm just not 100% certain with, of course, the unfortunate nature of what the heck Aaron Rodgers is doing right now. He hasn't looked great. And I'd love Dobbs to be a consistent enough option. But for right now, I think I'm just going to lean towards the potential receiving and touchdown upside of CEH. Colin Smith says PPR. 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Thank you very much, Colin. Let's see what you have here. You have McCaffrey, you have Drake, you have Sutton, you have Kirk, you have Ayuk. If you have to start one out of each of these players, I would play Christian McCaffrey, I would play Christian Kirk, and I would play Brandon Ayuk. Thank you. Matthew Kroll says, streaming Mariota, Matt Ryan, or Jimmy G. If I'm not mistaken, out of the group, I currently have Jimmy G as the highest ranked. He's ahead of Mariota by 1 spot and ahead of Matt Ryan by 3 spots. So Jimmy G is my suggestion there. Kevin Castillo says, with Russell Wilson out, Cortland Sutton, Christian Kirk, or Bateman. I would go Christian Kirk there. Bateman still dealing with an injury, is a little bit questionable. Cortland Sutton is not playable this weekend, in my opinion. Crush says, Boyd or Pickens. I play Pickens this weekend. Thank you. 10-team full PPR says proximity. My potential trades I can make. I have Rodgers, Chubb, Mixon, Chase, Godwin, Waddle, and Njoku. Why would you want to make a trade? I think you're in a fantastic position based on what you have. Now, if you do want to move Mixon in order to make sure you don't have too many Bengals on your team, even though I don't think 2 is too many. I think 3 is when you get to the conversation of having too many. You have 2 Bengals and you have 2 Browns. As of right now, considering that Browns player is a tight end, I'm okay with it. But if you want to move Mixon, you certainly can. You could try to move up and try to go get somebody else. But for right now, he's still in that realm of possibility as a low-end RB1 rest of the season. Unless someone's going to give you Breece Hall, it'd be tough to move that. Unless you're trying to invest in maybe like DeAndre Swift or something to that extent. But at this point, I would just keep Mixon. Tarek says a question and says, full PPR, Curtis Samuel or Josh Reynolds? I think the decision is most likely going to be made for us, Tark, based on the idea that Josh Reynolds has not been able to be at a full capacity all week. But if he's active, I would play him. If he's not, then obviously Curtis Samuel's the play. Michael Barton says, start Gallup or Drake this weekend? I would play Gallup. Thank you very much, Michael Barton. I appreciate that. Mark Maloney says, trade Pitts for Waller. You know what? I would say yes. I know it's tough. If you have another tight end that you can stream for this week, I'd be willing to do that. I think Waller does have better upside rest of the way. Alrighty, let's see what we have in the chat here. Pickens, B-Rob, or Damian Harris full PPR. I'd probably go B-Rob there. Full PPR, Myers or Mostert. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. I'd probably just roll with Mostert. Gallup or Jamal Williams. Probably going Gallup there in a half PPR. Hey, Andrew, I'm starting Mixon and Walker. Trying to pick up a flex between Robinson and Montgomery. I play Robinson there. Etienne or Ramondre full PPR. If I'm picking between one of the two, it's probably rolling with Ramondre this upcoming weekend. Chris Godwin or Kenneth Walker in the flex this upcoming weekend. I already have Jamar and Pittman. I'm probably playing Kenneth Walker there. Thank you, Trey. I appreciate that. Pickens. Okay, we already did that one. Everett or Schultz. I have Everett higher than Schultz this upcoming weekend. Both are still good options, though. Okay, we did that. EJ says, I'm in desperate need of an RB2. Should I trade Pittman and Patterson for... Sorry, should I trade Pittman for Patterson and Pierce? My other wide receivers are Chase and AJ Brown. I have Chubb and Jeff Wilson. Yeah, I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly fine with that trade. Would you send Pierce and Walker for Amon-Ra St. Brown and DJ Moore? Okay, here's my question, Michael Gonzalez. When you say Pierce, do you mean Damian Pierce? Because if you're sending Damian Pierce and Kenneth Walker for that haul, I would not do it. If you're sending Alec Pierce and Kenneth Walker for Amon-Ra St. Brown, I would be willing to do that. But just wanted to clarify, just so we're on the same page. Thank you. Who would you start personally? Personally, I would start David Njoku over Pitts. Anthony Ramos, thank you. Chris Godwin or... Okay, we already did that one. We're good to go. Pierce or Sutton? I'd play Pierce. Alec or Damian, doesn't matter. Hector, thank you. Trading Joey B, Brian Robinson, and Gabriel Davis for Kyler, JT, and Sutton. Risky, but I'm open to the idea. It is tough because Kyler's not going to be better than Joey Burrow. Gabe Davis is going to be probably better than Sutton. But JT is the biggest difference maker because if JT's putting up 25 points per week, the rest of it doesn't matter. So I'd be okay taking JT there. Thank you, sir. Love channel. Thank you very much, Andrew. I appreciate that. That's an interesting last name. Is it Eigelhart? That's a very interesting last name. Maybe I pronounced it wrong. Let me know if I did. Tom Brady or Matt Ryan says, Daniel, I'd play Tom Brady this weekend. JC sends in a question. JC says, PPR flex, Sutton, James Robinson, Mostert, or Drake London. I'd play Mostert this weekend. Yeah. Troy says, Andrew, I sent a super earlier. Didn't get an answer. I think I'm pretty sure I answered it, but maybe you missed it. Let me check here. Let me scroll up, Troy. Yeah, so Troy, you sent in a question in the super chat. It says, I sent another chat, and then you said also play Brady or pick up another option. I said play Brady, so that would be the way to go. Thank you. All right, Ethan, do you have a question attached to this, my guy? TJ for Walker? Like TJ Hawkinson trading for Kenneth Walker? Absolutely, Arthur. That would be fantastic. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Andrew. Then a happy PR would be Mixon for Swift or... Yeah, I mean, look, this is what I'm thinking, right, Roberto? I'm thinking that I would rather have Mixon at a full healthy capacity over. I would rather have Swift over Mixon in a full healthy capacity. Otherwise, I would rather have Mixon over Aaron Jones and Elliott rest of the season. But Swift would be the only guy I'd be looking for there. But again, it's risky because we're not 100% certain as to whether his shoulder and ankle are ready to go. Ethan, where's your question, my man? Ethan says, standard league, need to know who to flex, Aaron Jones or Jamal Williams. Absolutely play Aaron Jones this weekend. Michael Barton says, Dulich, Schultz, or Otten at the tight end position this weekend. Schultz, then Otten, then Dulich. Exotic Zero says, Alec Pierce or Jacoby Myers. Wando Robinson or... I don't understand. Exotic Zero, you're asking me a follow-up question between Wando Robinson and Rondell Moore. Rondell Moore already played this week. So do you just mean rest of season? If you can clarify that for me, that'd be great. But as for your primary question, Pierce or Myers, I'm probably leaning in the direction of going Myers there in a full PPR. Matthew Crawl says, team in chat, trading McLaurin for Kareem Hunt. All right, Matthew Crawl, let's see what you got here, my man. Here's the issue, Matt. When the chat in itself updates so quickly, it's gone. So it's not there yet. You got to repost your team. Yeah, it's not there anymore. I'm looking right now. I have to refunction your name. It's not there. So do me a favor and repost your team. I'm starving, guys. Dude, I am so hungry. My brain is starting to actually fall apart. It didn't post properly. Got it. Okay. Just waiting for you to send that in, Matthew. I know there's a delay on commenting, mainly because I don't want people to spam, but yeah. Send that in when you're available. Where's Exotic Zero? Do you have an explanation as to what the heck that question was? No, maybe no. Troy says I sent a blank one before. Yeah, you sent a blank one, but here's the way that it works, Troy. In the same reason that I was talking with Matthew Crawl just a moment ago, you got to repost the question because I probably didn't get to it in time, and it's definitely not in the chat. It's definitely not there. I'll even check just to, make sure. But yeah, you got to send it again, my man. Troy Ars, you got to send it again because it just updates and it's gone. Njoku or Dylan, full PPR. Zeta, I would play Njoku this week. KB says, PPR, pick one, Swift, Pittman, or Christian McCaffrey. Of the group, I would probably feel safest running with legitimately Michael Pittman Jr. That's probably where I feel safest at. What do you think about Darren Waller rest of the season? Trey, to be honest, I think if he's healthy, he's fantastic. But that's the whole thing. When is he going to get healthy? Last year, dealt with a lot of injuries. This year, already doing the same. It's kind of tough. Some barbecue sounds great. Depends. What kind of barbecue we talking about? Korean barbecue? That sounds fantastic. Whew. Korean barbecue would be busting right now, dude. Whew. Dobbs or Juju? Craig, I would play Dobbs this weekend. Start Amari Cooper, Brandon Cooks, or ETN. Out of the group, in a full PPR, Levi, I prefer Amari Cooper. Michael Gonzalez says, just too many RBs. I have Jonathan Taylor, Leonard Fournette, Hall, Pierce. Yeah, you do have too many running backs. Too many good running backs, to say the least there. Way too many good ones. All right, so Exotic says, yeah, rest of season, Wandell or Rondell. Yeah, so this is what I would say. I would say Wandell Robinson for the New York Jets is probably the better rest of season grab. Because eventually, once in fact we do see Marquise Hollywood Brown return, Moore is gone. Moore was gone this last week. I mean, the craziness of where Rondell Moore disappeared is absurd to me. Listen to these stats. Let me go ahead and pull them up real quick in my my sheet. Okay, here we go. So as of right now, this last weekend, okay, or not last weekend, this last game, Thursday night, Rondell Moore played 58 snaps. Okay, pretty good number. He was on the field for the majority of the time. Saw 2 total targets on a total of 30 total routes run. What the heck is that? 30 routes ran and he had 2 targets? It just seems like, when DeAndre Hopkins is coming down with 15 targets, when Marquise Hollywood Brown comes back, he gets, his fair share of 10, and Ertz is going to be picking up the rest. It's done for Rondell Moore. So yeah, go Wandell Robinson rest of the way. Okay, who are we looking for again? We were looking for Matthew Kroll to send in his team, and we were looking for Troy to send in his team. We had Grave Digging Dave sends in a question, says flex full half PPR, excuse me. Dobbs, Wandell Robinson, J-Rob are forming this upcoming weekend. Of the group, I probably feel the most comfortable rolling with Dobbs this weekend. Thank you. Michael Barton says Pittman and Alec Pierce as my number 1 and 2, yes or no? In my opinion, I'm okay with that. Last week, I did that exact same thing. I had a team in which I had Deion Jackson, I had Pittman, and I had Alec Pierce. They all played well. We won the week. It was no problem. So I don't mind it. Michael Barton, your follow-up question was, should I start Gus the Bus Edwards? No, I would not. RJ Mitchell says in the chat, who would you rather have for the rest of the season, Evans or Waddle? In a full PPR scoring format, I legitimately believe I would rather have Waddle in a full PPR. Yeah. Alrighty. What do you think about Darren? Okay, we did that. Okay, cool. Bum in the chat. That's an interesting name to have on YouTube, but hey, Bum it is. Njoku or Hawkins said I'd play Njoku this week. Brian, Colorado says, I meant to put the question in, Alec Pierce or Trevor Lawrence this week in a standard league. Brian, I believe you commented on the comment section this week of one of my videos. I think I responded to it, if I'm not mistaken. I said play Trevor Lawrence this weekend. Again, guys, yeah, I'm trying to get more and more into the, responding to the YouTube comment section. I've done that a lot as of this week. Again, it's just a matter of whether I have time to do so. I was up till like 3 a.m. last night, just answering questions for a couple hours as much as I possibly could, giving you guys as much as, a potential responses I could send in your direction. ETN or Najee Harris this week? I play ETN. Thank you. All right. So where is Troy? Let me go ahead and let's search Troy's name in here. Troy, where are we at, my man? All right. Half PPR. Brandon Cooks, Bateman, Claypool, or DJ Moore. If we're playing two options, it is Brandon Cooks and Bateman. If Bateman doesn't play, you play Claypool. That would be it. Also, trade Barkley for JT or keep Saquon. I would keep Saquon. Thank you. Simflix says, should I be worried about Nick Chubb? No, don't worry about him. He's fine. A couple tough matchups. It happens to everybody. Lamb or Evans rest of season? Lamb. Brian Robinson or Gallup this week, full PPR? Give me Gallup. Thank you. And in the follow-up, who we were looking for, besides Troy, we were looking for Matthew Kroll. Matthew Kroll, where are we at? Where's your team? All right, Jacobs, Zeke, Damian Harris, Diggs, D-Hop, Jamar, Jacoby, McLaurin, Lazard. Okay, so now that we've kind of got that, I'm trading McLaurin for Kareem Hunt. Yikes. Do you need Kareem Hunt? That's my only question. If you're trading for Kareem Hunt under the assumption that maybe the Rams trade for Kareem Hunt, I'd be okay with that. But I don't know if that's going to be the case. You know what I mean? That's my only biggest concern. So for right now, I'd say you don't need to make that trade. But if you want to, you can. It's just not necessary. All right. A couple more questions that were sent in. Carlos Sanchez. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Carlos. It says half PPR in the flex. Hunt, Brian Robinson, or Dobbs. I'd play Brian Robinson half PPR in the flex. Cody sends in a question, says, thoughts on Debo after Christian McCaffrey? Debo is going to get less rushing attempts. But honestly, in the last couple of weeks, he really hasn't ran the ball a lot at all. He's primarily been a number one wide receiver on the outside. His target counts has gone from 8 to 7 to 9 to 10. If those numbers continue to creep upward or at least stay in that same capacity, he'll be fine. I wouldn't panic with him. But the only issue I have is if Christian McCaffrey starts taking receptions out of his backfield, starts playing in the slot position, and becoming the yard after catch monster like the rest of these guys are within this offense, and it starts to cut into Debo's total upside, then we have a problem. But again, time will tell. Your follow-up question there, Cody, was flex between Cooks, Deontay, Samuel, and Jamal Williams. I would play Deontay Johnson there. Thank you. Actually, yes, I would play Deontay Johnson there. I'm thinking about Brandon Cooks in a capacity there. You know what? Let's play Brandon Cooks. There. You didn't mention a format. I think even in a full PPR, I think I'm pretty convinced with Brandon Cooks there. Let's see here. After Cody, we had Jared send in another question. He said Gabriel Davis and Ramondre Stevenson for CeeDee Lamb. I'm okay with that. Legitimately, I'm okay with that because CeeDee Lamb right now, amongst all wide receivers in the National Football League, I believe has the highest target share. His numbers are so, I mean, let me see the numbers. Give me a second. Where are these numbers that I saw? Where art thou? I don't know where I had the numbers, man. I'm okay with the trade. I'm perfectly fine with it. ETN or Wilson this week? I would play ETN. James Mills sends in a question. Thank you very much, James. I appreciate that. This is gross. Latavius Murray or Donta Foreman half PPR. It is gross. It is disgusting. I would legitimately not play Donta Foreman. I'd play Latavius Murray. And quite frankly, I would ask you if you have J.D. McKissick available on waivers, because this is bad. This is bad news, Billy Bears. William sends in a question, says full PPR, Samuel or Drake in the flex. Thanks, Andrew. Samuel. Play Samuel in the flex, full PPR. Thank you. Tyler T says, I have Christian McCaffrey. Should I drop Jeff Wilson Jr. for the Eagles defense and drop the 49ers due to the injuries? I would just drop the 49ers defense outright and just pick up the Eagles right now and just hold Jeff Wilson right now. Tyler, thank you. Church of England Racing says PPR, pick 2, Brian Robinson Jr., Kareem Hunt, AJ Dillon, Kenyon Drake, Alec Pierce. In a PPR scoring format this weekend, I would play Brian Robinson and Alec Pierce. Thank you. Troy R says, how does the Patreon work? Also, go get KBBQ. The Patreon, just to give you an indication as to how it works, okay? So, if you sign up, you can send me however many questions you want throughout the month. Okay, it's a $9.99 per month, but you can message me on the Patreon app on your phone or on the desktop, however many times you want, or you can message me on Discord. From there, you can send me a message of your Discord name, and I'll send you a friend request. I will answer whatever questions I can. Obviously, I answer all of them, hopefully in a timely manner. Of course, there's a lot of questions there, but outside of the questions that are being answered, I also do give you guys full rankings, half PPR, full PPR. So every Thursday afternoon before the game, and of course Sunday morning before the games, I post rankings up to date on all primary positions. My top 32 quarterbacks, if there's 32 playing in a given week, top 60 running backs, top 80 wide receivers, top 120 flex, half PPR, full PPR, top 12 defense, top 12 kickers. Thank you. Just the Nuts says, what up, Andrew? Keep up the good work. I appreciate that. How much do you think Deebo Samuel and Ayuk's ceiling are going to hurt? I think Ayuk probably takes the biggest dip here in terms of overall ceiling, because Deebo is just an automatic in this offense. Ayuk is the complementary player. I think Deebo is going to be fine. Ayuk is going to have a pretty big dip going forward. So we probably want to sell high on him now. Saul says, start Brian Robinson or Mostert this week. Let me check my rankings real quick just to confirm. It's tough. I mean, there is a higher likelihood of Mostert getting a chance in the red zone than Rondo or than Brian Robinson, mainly because of the offense as a whole. Mainly because I do expect the Miami Dolphins to move the ball. So Mostert has higher touchdown upside. So in a half PPR, yeah, let's probably play Mostert there. It's tough. It is definitely tough. Pierce for CeeDee Lamb. Michael, yes, I'm perfectly fine with that. Yeah. Stefan says, hey, Andrew, Germany calling again for help. Start Robert Tonyan, Dalton Schultz, or Bellinger from the New York Giants at the tight end position. Full PPR this weekend. Okay. So as of this moment, I believe, let me check my rankings. We currently have, as of this moment, going into the weekend, I would much rather play Dalton Schultz than the other two options. Thank you. Okay. There's about 10 minutes left in the stream. Okay. There's about 400 of you in here. I want to remind you guys that tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Andrew, me, I'll be here tomorrow morning for 2 hours streaming with updated rankings on screen. I'll have my top 36 updated running backs and wide receivers, top 16 updated tight ends and quarterbacks on screen, half PPR, 4 point per passing touchdown. Throughout tomorrow's stream, I will also be mentioning my top 12 my top 12 kickers and defenses. Please join us tomorrow morning as I'll be answering questions at a very fast rate in order to help you guys out, setting your lineups with all the ample information possible. Of course, clarifying indications as to whether or not Keenan Allen's going to play, Rashad Bateman's going to play, and all of that, unknown information at this current moment in time. Again, I want to thank you guys for joining us. Of course, we're going to be answering a couple more questions here. Then I'll be, cueing the music and bowing out so I can go finish my rankings, do all the ample information or, research that I need to do, watch a little bit more film on some of these other players, and get it going in the right direction. Also, if you guys haven't yet already, do me a favor, click that like button. We just need 17 more likes to get over 300. That'd be greatly appreciated if we can get that number and achieve that. Thank you very much. Also, if you guys were here throughout the section of time in which we went ahead and put together some PrizePicks entries, we put together, 5 or 6? Again, there are a lot of really good entries. If you didn't see that section, rewind back because I'm ready to hit, I'm ready to hit the big money cash in this week via PrizePicks. So again, if you haven't checked them out, go ahead, click on the link down in the description, travel to their website. If you want to go ahead and play and you decide to do so, be sure to use promo code Andrew when you make a first-time deposit, as you'll be given a deposit match up to $100. Again, it's a great promo code to take advantage of for those of you who are interested in playing. Thank you very much. Okay, a couple more questions that were sent in here that we want to address before we bow out this afternoon. All right, first and foremost, we had a question from Dale Derrick. Dale Derrick says, full PPR, Christian Kirk or Juju Smith? I would play Christian Kirk. Follow-up, I have Lamar, Derrick Henry, Waddle, Bellinger, Jacobs, Pierce, Jets defense, and Daniel Carlson. Justin Jefferson and Goddard are on bye for me this week. So yeah, at this point, you're good to go. Good-looking team. Fantastic-looking team when they're all healthy and they're not on bye week. Good team there, Dale Derrick. Steven Drakes, nice to see you. Thank you very much. It says, Andrew, I need 3. Mixon, Chubb, Stevenson, Dameon Pierce. At this current moment in time, I believe I am of the opinion that I'm probably going to play Chubb, Mixon, and Pierce there. As for tight end, Tunyon or Freiermuth, I'm going Tunyon. Dale Derrick says, I forgot to mention that I'm also starting Kenneth Walker. Once again, thank you. Yeah, you have a monster team, Dale Derrick. Congratulations. That's probably another. Is that a 2-peat, 3-peat? How many championships in a row have we won here? Ian Schaefer says, I need to start 2 out of these potential options. Lazard, Ayuk, London, ETN. I'd play Lazard and I'd play ETN there. Ian, thank you. Cheeks says, Mostert, Dobbs, or Sutton PPR. Probably just roll with Mostert there. Ty HBH says, should I trade Josh Jacobs for Alvin Kamara? No. Keep Josh Jacobs. Thank you. Okay, couple more chat questions here. Okay, here we go. Mo Metcalf says, someone gave me a trade proposal. I received Leonard Fournette for DeAndre Hopkins and Kittle. No. Keep DeAndre Hopkins. Keep what you have. Because let me see what you have. You have Ertz. No. If you can change the trade where you're sending Ertz instead of Kittle, I would be far more comfortable with that exchange. Okay? Thank you. Hernandez says, hey, Andrew, in a PPR start 2, Ramondre Stevenson, Swift, and Najee Harris, ETN, Pitts, and Schultz. As of right now, of the available players that you mentioned, Ramondre and Swift are the 2 primaries. If Swift doesn't play, ETN's the next man up. Pitts and Schultz, I probably play Schultz this weekend. And then your Pitts or Schultz, who RB should I trade for? If you're going to trade for RB, go get me Breece Hall. Love the content, brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Tunyon or Ingram? Brian, I'd play Tunyon. Vic TX361 says, full PPR, trade Christian McCaffrey for Jefferson. Yes, absolutely. Give me Justin Jefferson rest of the season. I have Derrick Henry. Yes, do it right now. Please get it done. That'd be a fantastic option there. Justin Jefferson's way more upside before or after the trade. Let's see here. GG Play says half PPR, Brian Robinson or James Robinson or Sutton or Myers. Brian Robinson there. Thank you. PPR League from Pena 5682 says PPR League. Who should I play in the flex? Brian Robinson or Christian Kirk? In a PPR league, I'd feel more comfortable playing Christian Kirk this week. There. Also, should I drop Judy for Curtis Samuel? Probably not. Just keep Jared Judy. Is Jameson Williams worth the stash? I'm thinking a wide receiver. Yes, JJ, he is. Payback 564 says Damian Harris, AJ Dillon, or Brian Robinson. As of right now, I believe I have Payback. Come back tomorrow. I'm going to have to tweak that a little bit. I'm going to figure out where I have Damian Harris and Brian Robinson. I think they're going to be back-to-back, but it's going to be close. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you. Dave Jones TV, thank you very much for the generous donation. Says 10-team league in a half PPR. I have Brady, Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, Pierce. We have Kenneth Walker, Pittman, Gabriel Davis. Was that Michael Thomas? Yes. DJ Moore. Hold or trade? If we're holding any, okay. So let's see some of these trade options you have. Saquon and Pittman for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Hurts, or Pearson Pittman for St. Brown and Jalen Hurts. Wait, I don't understand. So you have Saquon and you're going to be sending Saquon away and not get a running back in return. I understand you have a lot of running back depth, but in my opinion, I'd be far more comfortable trading away Kenneth Walker or Dameon Pierce before I do Saquon and Christian McCaffrey. So if you can go ahead and give away Pearson Pittman and get back Tyreek Hill and Jalen Hurts, let's do that. But the other trade that you did have mentioned where you're sending Pearson Pittman and you get back St. Brown and Jalen Hurts, it's not a bad trade. I'm just thinking to myself, do I want to give up the running back depth at this current moment in time under the assumption that Brady doesn't figure it out? I think Brady will figure it out. I don't think you need to make this trade. I think I'd rather have the RB depth because in the long run, it probably helps me win the league. Pitts or Njoku? Craig, I think I answered that question specifically like 4 times today. Njoku. And I specifically addressed your question, but hey, maybe you weren't there. No problem. We're answering it. Play Njoku this week. Thank you very much. Luke says, I need 2 to start this week. Judy, Zay Jones, Drake London, Jeff Wilson, Kenyon Drake. Of the group of players that you've mentioned, it's probably going to be Jeff Wilson, and it's probably going to be Jeff Wilson, and most likely follow that up with Drake London. Nelson Flores says, half PPR. Which one should I start? Wan'Dale Robinson or Curtis Samuel? Probably Robinson. All right, guys, I think that's going to cover it for today. Again, tomorrow, we're going to be live streaming here on the channel. Rest of the season, Gabriel Davis or Christian Kirk? Gabriel Davis. Tarek says Drake or Michael Gallup? Play Gallup. Do not play Drake. Tomorrow, it's going to be a complete mess of a backfield there. Zappi or Rippin? If actually Mac Jones is not playing, I would play Bailey Zappi without a doubt in my mind. In fact, Bailey Zappi might be a top 16 quarterback for me this week. Kirk or Gallup in a standard league? If we're looking for just straight up upside, it's probably Kirk. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Tomorrow morning, we'll be back with some rankings on screen to help you all out. Outside of that, we're going to go ahead and cue the music, finish today's 2-hour stream. Again, check out PrizePicks if you guys have not yet already. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Here we go. Let's cue the music, and let's send it off and away. As the music's going to continue to roll through, I'll answer some questions off screen. You know what I mean. Chris Curry says half PPR in Njoku or Everett. I have Mike Williams and Herbert this weekend. I would probably feel more comfortable, even regardless of the fact that you have Chargers. I just played Njoku this week. Michael Nugent says half PPR 10 teams. Hurts, CD Lamb. Let me actually turn down some of the music so you guys can fully hear me. Hurts, CD Lamb. Who else is there? Deontay Bateman, okay. We need 3 wide receivers and 2 flex options. Any upgrades? Okay, let's just figure out this week first, and then we'll get to next week, Michael. CD Lamb, Pittman, Olave. I mean, those are your 3 primaries for sure. You don't want to move any of them. Deontay and Bateman can be moved. Devonta Smith absolutely is a keep as well. Hall, Saquon, Etienne are keeps. Walker's a keep. Do not make any trades. You don't need to make any upgrades. As of right now, the 3 wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, Pittman, and Olave going forward in your 2 flex options, assuming you're starting Saquon and Hall is going to be Etienne and Devonta Smith going forward. Thank you. And of course, actually, no, Etienne and Walker. Forget that. Jesus, you got a monster team there, Michael. Brian Colorado says, is Deshaun Watson worth a hold? I mean, if you got an extra roster spot and you can afford to hold him, sure. But I don't mean, again, we're many weeks out. Do I start Christian McCaffrey or ETN this week? We'll answer that question tomorrow morning on stream. You'll see my rankings on screen. Mainly because I'm not 100% certain what I'm doing with that. That's why I'm answering that way. That's why it's so secretive. Start DeAndre Swift. We'll know by tomorrow morning if he's active. If he is, we're probably going to play him there homemade. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I'm going to let the final 40 seconds here serenade you, and I'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Peace.